And we are live, Wrestle Purist live with myself, Joe Hulbert, WWE Backlash recap. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you've got any questions, any hot takes, any topics you want us to get into. Send your super chats in, we'll get to them. But yeah, man, a few things to get into today. But Joe, what's going on, man?
Nothing much, mate. Representing my favorite wrestling booker with my hat here today.
Yeah, the Brahma Bull.
Yep, big week in the land of Holbert. Big
Big
week,
week.
dude.
Big
Yeah,
week.
man.
Returns, everything.
Yeah, we had
Everything.
Good Brothers week over at the Grin, and on Friday, WWE try to kind of change our plans with the Alexa thing. We just stayed strong. We did our thing. It was a good time, and excited to be here. It feels like so much goes on between the shows we do now. It's just like it feels like wrestling has changed, transformed in the last 2 weeks. I don't think it has.
You make a lot of towns as well, bro.
Yeah,
You
it
wanna, you need
messes
to
up
realize as well,
really.
like the last time I did a podcast was with you.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I'm
what
saying?
I'm
So
saying.
like, I ain't done a streaming like however long it's been. So
Yeah, so but we'll call it in the ring and have fun. Backlash, of course, as a topic, so it should be an interesting evening.
yeah, we got a few things to get into. Obviously, WWE Backlash recap that'll take up like a big chunk of the show. But before we do anything, before we get into anything, we've obviously got to pay our respects. News broke today that certified pro wrestling legend Sabu sadly passed away at age 60 over the weekend. And the word iconic definitely, like most adjectives these days, man, like they get thrown around a lot. But I think Sabu and his career definitely lives up to that. So definitely condolences to his family, friends, and of course all the fans, which he had many, many of them of. So yeah, just sending out our respects to Sabu. He's an interesting guy, man. He was an interesting guy. He's like I said, had definitely a very iconic career. And I'd still pop to see his name pop up every now and again, man. You know,
Yeah,
even as recently as WrestleMania weekend, you know, literally a few weeks ago he was in the ring, you know. So,
hmm
um, yeah, man, it was a tough one, Joe. A tough one, Joe. This one is.
it was because as much as we're all very aware he lived a wild, wild life, I
Yeah,
still found it to be truly shocking news. And those two things might not add up, but I saw a few people speaking to it. He's one of those guys you kind of just presume would just live forever.
mm,
Long when we're long gone, Sabu would still be falling through tables and barbed wire and such. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to sit and pretend to be like an expert or a big fan or anything because I don't have a great deal of connection to Sabu's work. I've obviously seen quite a bit of it, and I'm very very aware of the kind of the influence, the significance of his work, which I think if you're in a similar position to myself, I recommend you kind of fire up whatever social media you use, type his name in, especially Twitter today.
he's such a fun
He,
wrestler to go back and like get
yeah, some
caught up on
fabulous
or
insight.
educate yourself on. You know,
Right,
like
some
it's a
fabulous
wild time,
insight,
man.
dude. I
You know.
recommend Dave's. Dave did like half an hour about Sabu, and which was
Okay,
brilliant.
with
I
Garrett.
recommend that. Yeah, it was really, really
Mm.
great. He was really, Dave. I think he's at his best when he's able to like contextualize history, and he was really sharp, and you could tell it kind of it struck him in a certain way. I think he was shocked also. He was great. So I just been reading kind of folks that are more educated and more, honestly, more than educated, more connected. I have friends of mine that like Sabu changed their wrestling fandom. For me, it's something that I think you can watch something and understand it. But the people that lived it or have immersed themselves in it, I think it's always different, right? We have wrestlers that we have that for. So it was interesting to read their perspectives today, and I definitely agree an icon. I think that's apt for Sabu. So
Yeah.
yeah, obviously condolences and such.
Yeah, I think he was on point when you said about like okay, Sabu, you know, like you said, he interesting guy, you know, but like
Right.
it was still kind of it was still a shock reading that earlier, you know, and you would have never thought you'd be shocked at that news, but like you said as well, it's like he was just one of those people that was kind of just immortalized in the back of your head, you know. You just thought he would always just be there, like Sabu, you know. But but yeah, man. When Sabu, when he first like came onto my radar, he was kind of a guy that would like he'd really like wow you, You know, he'd really like wow you'd open your eyes to different things. He was really innovative, flashy, but also kind of had like a sense of real big sense of danger to like when he was around, you know. And I
Yeah.
really took to that. But also like as he got older, and we started to see him, you know, like when we started to see him in WWE's ECW and all that sort of stuff in the 2000s and other things like that, like his presence, his look, etc., things like that, kept him feeling so iconic. You know what I mean? Like seeing like
Oh, for
Sabu
sure.
make his
Yeah.
entrance. You know what I mean? Even if you weren't fully like in the know about it, you know, it's like there was just something about him. You know,
I
he was
mean,
definitely somebody who, you know, he undeniably, as you said, Joe, influenced the industry a lot with his in-ring work. And he never truly got his flowers in his later years, which obviously is sad, and it happens unfortunately too much in professional wrestling. You know, the occasional thing would happen, and it would be nice to see him, like his appearance in AEW. Remember that?
that was
Like, and he
wild. Yeah.
and he did the table, and he went through the table. But yeah, man, we love Sabu. So, like I said,
It- we were
condolences.
covering. I remember us covering that Dynamite when he showed up, and just feeling like just the no clue. It speaks to, I think, the power of his legacy and reputation. Even in the last couple months, like independent figure companies announce projects with Sabu, like new Sabu action figures, and people lose their mind for them. Like it's still, he absolutely, the look, the presence, and the work all stood the test of time. Um, I remember in Terry Funk's book, he like and I know Dave spoke about this, but he very much defended Sabu as like his psychology and his work, very much. Like he pushed back on the sentiment that Sabu was like a stunt man or any of that stuff. He said there was real like detail and quality to the stuff he did in ring. So I think, you know, you and I can give opinions for hours and hours, but Terry Funk's take on it's pretty good by me. So I'm
Spoke
gonna try
very
and watch
highly of
some.
him.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and watch some stuff. I may try and put some Discord stuff together for the Green guys, but definitely a
Yeah, man.
legend. Absolutely. I'm sure Ebert will have a lot to say on Worldwide too. I know he has
Well,
a
yeah,
deep
there you go.
connection. Yeah,
Ibu, of all the people at Wrestle Purists and
right.
people who show up on the channel, like Ibu's definitely the guy. When it comes to not even just to be like any of those ECW guys, like he is locked in on that era of ECW, bro. So, Ibu will definitely have a lot more to say than we have, and obviously we pay our respects as well because he was iconic, man. You know, he was he had like a unique cool factor, you know, and I
For
think
sure.
that's
Yeah.
kind of what has been so relevant when you talk about things like these independent places like dropping figures or even like t-shirts and stuff. It's like people still fuck with that because like Sabu's one of the few people in wrestling over the years that he's got that cool factor, man. Like
Mhm.
it's Sabu, bro. You know, like
The
like he's a real
presentation was
one, bro.
incredible too. Like his presentation and the aura, and I know everyone hates that word now, but it's just a real word that fits him. So I'm using it. You know, like that absolutely fits him, dude. How many clips do you see on your timeline today where that word would be apps? You know, like he was definitely a unique presence. I definitely think the like reach that his work had in terms of how much it changed wrestling. I think it's a shame that it took this for people to like beat that drum and reiterate it, because I think for some folks that grew up and watched it happen, I think it just goes without saying that he like transformed wrestling, because he absolutely did, like unquestionably. So if you just look at the style, like you know, before and after Sabu, during especially, um, you can trace it very clearly. It's not a strip. I think for a lot of people, especially new fans, I think the ECW. I know WWE uses the term ECW original, right? I think they're all like lumped together, and I get why, but I think sometimes we take things for granted in terms of knowledge, and we could do a better job of like emphasizing individuals and what they meant to wrestling. Does that make sense? Like rather than it just being like, I think to some modern fans they see Sabu and in their head they see Dreamer, Sandman, Raven all next to him, and it's like I think there's something I keep in mind a lot. You know, Sabu wouldn't be an example for me because I'm just not as educated, but I do keep in mind a lot. I think we all could do a better job of like, you know, the phrase giving someone their flowers, but there's truth to that, right? Like I think just sometimes just
Everything's so
saying,
accessible now as well, bro.
yeah, man,
Like you
just
can,
saying
like,
it,
if you
like,
want to educate yourself on Sabu,
yeah,
like you can do that this week. You
yeah,
know what I mean? You can do
yeah,
that. It's all out there. There's people, and obviously with unfortunate things like this happening, people are going to be talking about the things that he's done throughout his career that you can then go and research upon yourself. And yeah, man. But yeah, Sabu. People love Sabu, bro. It's
timeline's been very touching today. Very cool.
Yeah, it's been
some really cool stories.
all kinds of tributes pouring out for him, bro. He obviously influenced and touched and was loved by a lot of people, bro. You know, and like I said, it was a shame that he didn't kind of have that after wrestling easy life. I think his career definitely deserved. Like we've just been talking about his influence for a few minutes. You know what I mean? It's like anybody that you can say that about. You know.
Yeah.
And even just like name value, bro. Like you said, you can drop something Sabu wise, and you'd still hit numbers, bro. You know, like he still had name value, but it was just never, unfortunately, it was just never channeled into something that could have been like, you know, very financially beneficial for him. You know, so
yeah, he should have made a lot more money from pro wrestling. Everyone says
bro.
that, right? And
definitely, a lot of those guys, though, you know, so. He's
sure,
but he stands differently, like you was just getting into, bro, because of like he truly was like innovative in a way that's like pretty easy to trace back, you know.
Yeah, very much. Yeah,
very unique, and even if you're like, I'm not as like we was just saying about Ibu being kind of like he's definitely the ECW guy, but if you go back to kind of like he was at a different level before like the ECW kind of explosion. Do you know what I mean?
right.
Like in the early 90s, before like the mid 90s and that, when things really started to, you know. But yeah, man. So Taz did that video and he was talking about like how he and Sabu debuted on the same night in ECW, and the idea was that like Sabu was the guy, he was the star that they were bringing in. Do you know what I mean? Right. And Taz was just a guy, and obviously Taz did a good job. Sabu put him over and stuff like that, and you know what I mean. The rest is history when it comes to Sabu and Taz, you know, like that. But,
for sure, yeah. I saw some folks today were saying about how he was like the last like magazine wrestler. You know, the wrestlers that just a photo of them in the magazine would make them like an attraction. Which makes a lot of sense, because imagine some of the imagery. Like if you're a 10-year-old wrestling fan and you're watching Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair on TV and you bought the wrestling magazine and you saw a photo of Sabu with blood and, you know, pointing to the sky.
Yeah, those old pictures of Sabu, bro, when his hair's obviously it's long, it's all messy and that, and he'll have like mad cuts on his like arms and shit, and like you know, like he's. Yeah, so Sabu was cool, bro. Like he was, you know, you won't find me saying that about many wrestlers, even from yesteryear, you know, like that. But he's yeah, I got mad love for Sabu, bro. So rest in peace. And another legend taken from us way too soon, bro. Like 60 is no age to die, bro. So yeah, man, that's definitely a tough one. But yeah, obviously, hopefully the tributes keep pouring out as the week goes on. I'm pretty positive they will. You know, it's a big loss. Okay. Let's plow ahead. And we'll do a couple. We've got a couple super chats, so we'll do those, and then we'll get into this Backlash recap. Interesting show that was, but Will Chisholm, $5. Appreciate you as always. Becky must love her regattes. What do you think that's meant to say, Joe? Must love her.
I gotta be honest with you, I have no clue. No idea.
Becky must love her regattes. How you make someone look good, Charlotte.
Becky must love her, that's how you make someone look good, Charlotte.
Ah.
What? Poor Charlotte, dude. Just getting the boots, but just done nothing. Nothing to do with her. Just getting the shit kicked out of her, man. Come on. Will.
I got love for Ashley, man, so chill out, Will. Chill out, bro.
She's getting rebooted, Will.
Will Chisholm, $5. Not trying to be funny, but getting a pop from WWE fans shocked me.
Will get a pop? Will got a pop from the WWE fans. I assume he's talking about Jeff Cobb. This is not me knocking Will, because I get it, and a few people said the same thing in our stream, and Jack Crosby texted me, hello Jack, but I'm never surprised, because this is where the media game helps them. We've seen this now a million times. You get out there, you've signed someone, every wrestling outlet says WWE have signed insert wrestler. Their face gets on their timeline. Their face is on their YouTube algorithm, whatever it may be, and people familiarize themselves. This happens every time, right? Like, I don't mean that in a sinister way. Like, that's just how it works at this point. People seem to think that you're either
powerhouse, bro.
Yeah, and I think people seem to think you're either deep enough that you're watching us two talk right now, or you've never used the internet about wrestling. Like, there's a middle ground. A lot of people follow wrestle purists without being like observer subscribers, or follow wrestle ops, or whatever the hell, you know. So you see these things, you know, Jeff Cobb's going in. Oh, Jeff Cobb doesn't mean they've studied his matches or anything, but it didn't surprise me. I will say you got a good reaction. I would have dressed him slightly differently. I would have dressed him slightly differently. Maybe a tank top. Show some boobs, bro. You know?
Bro, I'm surprised he weren't wearing the hoodie, bro. So.
Yeah,
he might have been wearing the hoodie before he backed it off and hit the clothesline. You know what I'm saying?
He probably was.
Lariat on the outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Like you said, Joe, it's a choice. You know what I mean? WWE can be weird with those thick boys, though, man. You know, I know Vince ain't around no more, but the best not be telling Jeff Cobb to put a shirt on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. It's just Jeff Cobb is the shoot. Like, if he's in the bloodline, whatever the bloodline is now, I don't know. You know, the faction. I mean, not the actual family. He's the shooter of the group. Like, he's an actual killer, right? Like, an Olympian, you know, athlete and such. But visually, he doesn't look as intimidating as Jacob Fatu. Now, Jeff, if you see this, I'm fully aware that I think we'd have a close fight. I'm pretty certain. I mean, I may, you know, anyway, but. But
you take it the distance.
He looked very like he just kind of looked like a guy, and I think if he'd have had like a tank top, showed some boob, I don't know, bro. I'm just throwing ideas out.
I hear you, bro.
You know?
I hear you. He was looking very pedestrian. There's been a lot of talk about wrestlers looking pedestrian this past week. There has Dave triggered some discourse, you know.
Oh. Who did he say?
Oh, you really don't know? Oh, okay.
No,
so Dave on his Dynamite recap with Brian on Observer Radio, they were on about Ospreay. They're talking about Ospreay. You know, he was out there on, was it Wednesday? Yeah, when he did the Hangman Live promo, and he's wearing the Stone Island overshirt, isn't it? He's wearing like a Stone Island overshirt, just a t-shirt, and I think like jeans or whatever. Do you know what I mean? He does look like kind of a guy that I'd see. Do you know them ones like?
Yeah.
And Dave was basically trying to word that, but he was just like, oh, you know what Dave's like, bro? He was just like, oh, he doesn't look like a star, you know? So like that gets quoted and aggregated, and people are like, you know, oh, he was Stone Island though. He's wearing branded clothes and that, like he's wearing high end fashion, and you know that weren't really the point that Dave was making. But you know what Dave's like, bro? Like I said, the way he words things can be a bit
That's interesting.
But yeah, that like I said, that caused a whole like day of discourse, bro, about what Ospreay was wearing on Wednesday.
What I would say, and I can't remember what he was wearing hilariously, but I think Ospreay, take this as you will, Ospreay dresses in a way that suits who I perceive him to be as a wrestler. Bro, like you said, he looks like someone you would see, and it's like, yeah bro, absolutely. But that's the way I perceive him to begin with. So he looks like one of the lads, doesn't he, Will?
He wears like Stone Island overshirts and like football shirts and shit, bro. Like he looks like you see him at the pub, bro. You know, like that. Like I see man's like that.
I don't go to the pub. Ospreay. You know, it's like I know too many people, in fact, that are like Will Ospreay, in fact. But
bro. Yeah,
but, on. I don't know. I think it fits Will. Like, I don't know what Dave necessarily, because I didn't listen to this. I'm not burying Dave. That's just my gut feeling. I assume Dave's not aware he shouldn't be wearing a suit. He just wants him to dress up a little bit. I don't know. Hello, Dave.
You say something, I guess, distinct, unique, or just like it's like even like Roman just wears like his merch, ain't he? Do you know what I mean? But there's just a certain way.
Tracksuit bottoms.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like it's just obviously that's Roman though. Like everyone's different, in it. So I don't want him coming out there in a cape. You know what I'm saying?
I always like
a suit. Like that's not him. So.
Alton's a good, like, not wrestling guy when it comes to he's just like the laziest guy ever, right? Like, if someone just wears trunks with a shirt, sometimes he wears those like shorts and the hoodie. He's just got done with a job.
Yeah, remember when he got spotted at the performance center?
Yeah.
You remember that one? Yeah, we'll get into Randy because that actually kind of ties into something that pops me about him. But
Okay.
yeah, Cobb getting a pop was it surprised a few people. Super chat's name I'll never say. $5, appreciate it as always. Crazy to see how Dom has lapped Hook. Imagine thinking that back in 2022. Also, top 5 WWE women in ring: Io, Steph, Bianca, Lyra, and Roxanne. Strong top 5. Strong top 5.
Steph. That's
Sounds
pretty good
right.
list. Yeah, that's a pretty good list, bro.
I'd probably, at the moment, I'd say yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like 2025. So if we're talking overall, it's like I've got to put like Becky in there somehow. You know, I've got to put.
Becky's so interesting because, like,
I love Becky's
mechanically,
work, bro.
this is the thing, and we'll get into this more because she had a really strong showing last night. I actually think physically her best showing in like a long time, to be honest. Becky's a weird one in that I think mechanically she would not be alongside these names, but she's so
No, not a chance.
Right, but she's so effective, you know. Like she gets stuff done, man. She's such a she's very, very interesting wrestler in that way. She's hard to compare to someone like a EO Sky, for example. And I'm not saying she's as good as what I'm saying is they do things in such different ways. Comparing them feels almost bizarre. I think it's a strong top 5 though. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it feels right. It definitely feels right for like the current moment. But if we're talking like overall, it's like I think very, very highly of Becky. You know, and matches like last night just kind of enforced that for me. But all 5 of those women are kind of nothing like Becky. Like the closest comparison would be like probably Roxanne. You know, it's all weird to say, but in terms of just in ring work. But but yeah, she's so different to all of them, and she's not exactly she's no athlete. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, she's an athlete, obviously, but she's not like a
not by like rest.
I mean?
Yeah. She's not gonna do like high spots and stuff, right?
Yeah, she's not flying off the ropes and shit like that. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, she ain't doing all that. But yeah, we'll get into Becky, bro, because got a lot of good things to say. Koi Stallings, $4.99. Coach knows nothing about wrestling. His Bailey take was wild. Shake my fucking head. I'm still not over it. I take. Yeah, I've briefly seen it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was just like, what did he say? Like Bailey ain't got it no more, or something like that.
Jonathan Coach, right?
Yeah. There's a podcast clip of him.
He's stupid shit. Guy, man.
Who gives a fuck, bro? Fucking Coachman.
Yeah.
Jonathan Coachman, you know. Just like, who's booking him for podcast, bro? Who's trying to see that? Do you know what I mean?
I think it's his own, dude. I don't know, man.
But yeah, fuck that, bro. Talking shit about Pam.
Yeah.
We don't have that.
Come on, bro. There's nothing sacred. Who does you think he is?
Ain't it, bro? Like, come on, bro. Of all the people you can pick out, you know, you want to take shots at Pam. That's wrong, bro.
It's diabolical.
Shocking. Black Yakuza 94, $10. Appreciate you, brother. Pretty bad show. Oh, pretty B-feel show last night. But the vibes were strong. I can't really tell if I'm just resigned to what things are. I did pop for Laura vs Becky's match though. Them goals were working. Overall, 6 out of 10 show. It felt really insignificant, to be honest. I do think I said this to Joe just before we went live as well, man. Like, if you're gonna do Backlash this close to Mania, you should really just keep doing them abroad, bro. You know, because think of like even leading up to it this week, man, it just didn't feel significant at all. And it's like we're doing John Cena versus Randy Orton for the last time, like in St. Louis, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't have that big feel. Whereas like even going into and on the night, Backlash in France, Backlash in Puerto Rico, there was just, I don't know, it had something special about them, you know. And we'll remember those events a lot more than we'll remember last night. Outside of obviously, I don't know, this will probably be remembered for being the last John Cena Randy match, you know what I mean? It's kind of like a historic thing, but in terms of the actual event and the matches and the vibes and everything like that, even though the vibes are all the crowd was good. The crowd was good in St. Louis. It's just like, it just didn't feel special at all. Like, it did not feel like a pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think the 5-match thing, I don't think it helps that either. You know, I don't think it helps at all because there's so many big stars not on the show because it's 5 matches. the more they do, like when they first did in the 5-match things, I try and have an open mind about it. And some of those shows I really liked. But the more, like, we're now, how long into that are we now? Like a year, probably? Maybe a year? 5 matches? I don't know. It increasingly feels like saying this should be tinkered. I think they could easily just do 7 matches, bro. Like, I mean, last night's show clocked in under 3 hours, and they, like, spaced it out with as much excess as they possibly could with the videos. And, you know. So I don't know, man. I just think just 6 or 7, I think would be fine. I think people would be exhausted leaving the show.
It should be a fluid thing, bro.
I agree with that.
It's like Tony's obviously, it can be the other, it can be like the opposite end of the scale, bro. Like you can, like, Tony will put on a 15-match pay-per-view and not blink an eye, you know, like that. But but sometimes it might be 12, sometimes it might be 9. Sometimes, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's always changing. Whereas like Triple H is WWE right now, you can be like, there is going to be 5 matches on the next 4 pay-per-view cards. You know what I'm saying?
And
so
get into Gunther and Pat McAfee, which I do not have a scathing review for by any means. I'll warn everyone of that now. But I think people would be a lot more forgiving of that if it was one of 6 matches or 7 matches, better yet, rather than one of 5. You know, I think
100%, bro.
I think when it's a 5-match card, I think people, you kind of, every spot is like scrutinized, you know? So
100%.
Yeah, I don't really get it, to be honest with you. I don't really understand why they're so locked in on that. It's very strange to me.
There's obviously lists of pros and cons in it, but like,
yeah,
the cons have got to outweigh it, bro. Because like, you're doing 5-match pay-per-view cards. You've got 4 world titles.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you got 4 world titles, bro. 1 was defended last night. You know?
Yeah.
That's mad. Like, that's mad, bro. And I don't know, man. Maybe it's just this modern era, modern sensitivities from the fans, or whatever it is, bro. But like, they're getting away with it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just getting away with this shit. So
the reason is what Blake Ikuzu says, which is that it's like, in their mind, it allows them to free up big matches for the TV. That's the idea. I feel like they have enough star power though to just again,
bro, all day,
couple matches.
All day. Yeah. What do you mean? Like, you've got 200 wrestlers, you've got more big stars on one roster than any roster's probably ever had in the history of wrestling. You know, like that. Like, that is how much star power WWE is dealing with right now. So it's like, you're worrying about saving matches for TV. Make more matches, you know, tell more stories. Like, what are we doing, bro?
I'm with you, dude. Yeah, I think it's I kind of think it's a self-inflicted wound. You know, I think yeah. To be clear, Blake Yakuza was just explaining it, but he's right. He's with us in terms of it not being necessarily a good call. So yeah,
man. It's obviously with all things, like, there's got to be a balance. Like, you do more matches, do more stories. Obviously, all of them have got to have the right amount of time, focus, blah 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 blah. But there's definitely room for more. You know,
yeah.
Got what, 5 hours of main roster TV, bro? 5.5 hours of main roster TV, bro. So come on.
And obviously, I know last week they did the world title match with Jay and Seth, but it's not like they're doing like 8 matches every week on the telly. Even, let's be honest, we've seen those TVs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, bro, it's a weird one. It's like, yeah, we do get some of those big matches that like could easily be on a pay-per-view on TV, and like, that is a good thing. But again, it's like, we can have both.
Yeah, I agree.
we can have both. You know, never mind. Shout out Spurs, $5. How do you think the current WWE audience would react to Vince's style of booking?
Now, this is important. Like, the people in attendance or the people online? Because, you know,
people in attendance are what they are. That takes a long time, I think, to kind of. Yeah. But yeah, you know, like, we've said it a million times in the past, but like, when Triple H came in and he was doing like 4 18-minute matches on Raw every week, you know, training his audience. He was just training his audience to have the patience to stick with matches and stuff like that, and that took months to build into your fan base. So if Vince came back in tomorrow and was booking like the crap that he was booking, it would take a few months for like the crowds to probably die off, the crowds to reject more of the segments, stuff like that. But if he came in and booked Raw tomorrow, bro, people are still gonna pop and hoot and holler for everything. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
that's
It
just
is
what it is.
different, dude. Like I spoke about it
Online,
last show.
you'd get picked
Yeah,
apart more.
right. I honestly don't think online. This may be. I don't know. I think online it's actually not that dissimilar. The discourse part of it, because it's like it still ultimately comes down to there's a side of Twitter that loves everything they do and there's Twitter that hates everything they do, and then there's like 5% in the middle, right? Generally, that's the way it was then and is now. The crowds are very different. We spoke about this, I think, last week about my WrestleMania experience, and just like it's just different, dude. Like it is, and so I think it's a fair question in that way. I think if R-Truth was the finish of a Randy Orton John Cena match under Vince, people in the crowd would chant bullshit, and I would guess most people left St. Louis last night like, what a show, you know. And you know, that's what they felt. That's what they felt. It's just, I do think that's an actual perception element of. I think the people that go to the shows have much more confidence in the creative process and give it the benefit of the doubt in a way they didn't then. I think you could very fairly argue that some of that is earned. I think you could equally argue, however, that some of it is increasingly leaning on past results, you know? Like, I think the idea that you're still supposed to believe that everything is super tight creatively and planned intricately, I think you'd have to have a lot of optimism. I really do. But yeah, I mean, it's a weird time. You and I talked before we went live. I think they're in a really strange spot creatively. I think if you watch the shows in a vacuum, I don't think the shows like terrible at all. I didn't think this pay-per-view was terrible. It was decent, you know. Like I think the TV is generally, when I watch the TV, SmackDown's boring, but it's not like offensive generally. But a lot of the directions are they're not very enticing to me. And they're two different problems. We've actually talked about this with AEW in the past, right? Like, you remember when we were reviewing Dynamite? It's like every Dynamite's a 7 out of 10, but I don't like the directions. This is probably, I'd say, mid 2023, late 2023. And there's a lot of that when I look at it from my point of view. It's like, what are the big stories? You know, what's the arcs that are here? You know, like, am I supposed to? I guess the big story this year is Cody's going to come back and get revenge on Cena, and it's like that doesn't really do much for me. So yeah, we'll see. It's an interesting time, is my point here. I know I'm all over the place, but it's just, you and I have talked it through, and it's like it just feels different, doesn't it, this year? It's weird.
Yeah, I don't think they're in a very good place creatively. Like you said, the actual show's in a vacuum, which is, it is funny that you do bring up, because that in a vacuum is like what we would always say on those Dynamite reviews, bro. You know, in a vacuum though, the shows are fine. The shows are fine. Like, they're not offensive. It's not like, oh my god, as if they're doing this. Like, yeah, there's one or two things, but that's normal for 2-3 hour wrestling shows, bro. You know, there's gonna be one or two things on there that I'll roll my eyes at. Like, I'm expecting to do that, but yeah, the directions and the creative, and it's just like, I look at some things and it's like I'm watching the show and I'm like, why is he doing that? Like, what he's doing isn't like offensively terrible, but like, why is he or she doing that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, what's going on here? Like, it just feels like Triple H and whoever's like really heading the creative team with him has kind of like lost their fastball, you know. And I'm not saying the sky is falling, and I'm not saying the product's bad, and I'm not saying that the tide is changing and the momentum's gone. They're still hot, bro. They're still doing like great business. The TV shows are still good. The John Cena stuff being the top thing, even though I don't think it's good, and that's a perfect example of this, it's still wildly successful, and people are still wildly into it, talking about it, all that stuff, even though it is being criticized. But I'm sure that's being outweighed by people that love it. You know what I'm saying? So it's I think you kind of hit most of the points. Really, it's just kind of like the directions, and it's just like a lot of head scratching for me. You know,
Yeah.
Whether it's like Mello don't miss, or like Drew McIntyre's heel run kind of just being fumbled post Punk, you know, or whether it's like obviously the bigger things as well, like the John Cena stuff I just mentioned, like that's been criticised heavily. I'm sure we'll get into some of that. R-Truth being the finish, like all these different things that are going on, bro. Like there's a lot to pick apart, I think, at the moment. Like there's things that if you really wanted to get into it, and that's kind of, I think that kind of plays into your point. Whereas if you actually did look at it in black and white and really wanted to sit down, like say if me and you were sad enough to sit down for like 3 hours and pick apart every single storyline that they're doing now, there'd be loads of holes. And obviously that's wrestling. There's going to be holes all over the place. It's fucking, this isn't, do you know what I mean? This isn't Academy Award winning writing going on, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think the closer you look at some of these things, it's like, huh? You know, but when you just watch it, it's like, oh, this is an alright show, you know?
Yeah.
Dominic Mysterio had a nice match. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's...
Yeah. I think a lot
it's
of
very easy.
There's a, fair or unfair, I think there's a feeling watching the shows of complacency, you know?
100%.
I think it's like, you know how people talk about how the show with WWE, especially right now, it's like the entrances, the way they can kind of get so much juice out of advertising, like CM Punk will just be there. You know, and if you can do it, right? I mean, the people like it, they're like, but being there, really, you did get that feel of people like singing Seth's song. They like doing Jay's entrance. They like, and I think with that satisfaction, with that being, you know, the audience being content, I think the creative has kind of just relaxed, exhaled almost.
Mm.
And it feels like a lot of things are just sort of running in place to me. And I say this every time, and I know it's boring, but I say it in case someone's never watched before. I'm not here to tell you that I watch the show closely. You know, I'm talking like broadly. It feels like things are very maintenance booking. And the reason to me they're maintenance booking is because the idea is that it's working. You know, the crowd likes it. And I think there's truth to that, but I also think what makes, you know, what keeps a hot period hot, what keeps a boom booming, is like daring a little bit. And you could say,
push the envelope, bro.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean? They ain't done that in a minute. Obviously, Cena turning heel, that's big.
And
do you know what I'm saying? But it's like, what are you doing with that heel turn? Because what I've seen so far, bro, I'm not gonna go all the way off on it. You know what I'm saying? But let's just say I expected and wanted a bit more, to put it lightly. You know. So
well, unfortunately, I think that's where we're going to circle all the way back to, and that's going to be the main topic of this show, is like the thing that they did, the big thing for this year is John Cena, right? And he turned heel. And I think in an ideal world, John Cena turning heel would be the kind of thing that we're like, every show, people are sending super chats like, did you see the Cena angle on Friday?
Yeah, it should change my life, bro. Like Dwayne did.
Unfortunately, and for a range of reasons that we'll get into, and we'll talk about the match obviously itself later, but it instead kind of feels like a storyline on like a video game career mode, you know? It's like, I mean, it's happening, and he's definitely being a heel. He's making it very apparent to me, I am a heel now. You know, he may as well say, I am a heel, everyone.
It's so surface level, man.
It's a very strange thing to watch. And the word you and I used just before we went live here was surreal, and I kind of watch him, and it just feels like he would have better ideas for this thing.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
I don't know. It's very odd. And the matches are the matches, and obviously we have a lot to talk about. But yeah, we'll circle back to Cena.
Odd,
definitely.
surreal.
Yeah.
It's like you said, bro. It's like, yo, this is John Cena. Like, I'm expecting just some more depth and some more, just like creativity from what he's producing right now. You know. It all feels very surface level. I've already said it. It feels almost like he's being booked by like some teenager in WWE's TikTok comments, which kind of ties into what you're saying. Like, it feels like something off a WWE video game. Like, it's very just like,
especially the R-Truth stuff, bro.
Yeah, man. Exactly, bro. Like, that just enforced it even more. The R-Truth like tie-in. It's just, I was just expecting a bit more, and obviously it can still get picked up. I did think it's funny because the most depth that he's shown was after the match yesterday. So did you see the clip, Joe, or was you still watching when like he has that little moment with himself when he's getting out the ring, and he looks at the belt, and it almost looks like he's tearing up. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like you as a fan are watching that, thinking like, John Cena's thinking to himself, like, oh, did I really have to do this? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, did I have to stoop this low and now I have to stick with do you know what I mean? I have to dig my heels in on this thing that I don't really want to do. And it's like, seeing that in a battle of himself is like the most fucking depth that he's shown since he's turned heel. And he didn't say anything. So, if he can go more in that direction, then I'm with it. But when he's doing all the kind of coming out, frowning, oh, you guys booed me. Like, it's like, okay, that was cool the first week. You can go back and watch the podcast, bro. Like I said, it's John Cena. Like, if anybody can do the you people shtick, it's like he can get away with it and he can get that shit off. But it's like now we're however many months into this heel turn, it's like, bro, I don't need him doing his surface level heel promo, frowning cliches and stuff. It's like, bro, do some real character work. Like, so again, I think that the Dwayne comparison's so like it works for this because it was literally last year, and it's like he came in to do something big, and he did the heel turn, which obviously at the time we weren't expecting him to do, and as we know, it wasn't really the plan. Dwayne thought he was just going to kind of moonwalk into WWE and get his main event with Roman, and it was all going to be cool. You get me? So he had to do this heel stuff basically on the fly, you know, and we seen how good it was. Like, fucking amazing. You know what I mean? And it weren't just that, like, oh, Dwayne's coming out and he's wearing his shirts and he's saying, do you know what I mean? And he's doing heel stuff. It was like, there was a real, like, sinister, like, dark side to, like, this psychopath final boss. Like, when he did the Mama Road stuff and, you know, the beatdown angle and even just, like, just kind of, like, this creepy undertone to it, like, the way he would deliver his promos, bro. Like, there was, like, there was actual depth to his character work, is what I'm getting to. Whereas we've seen so far what we've seen, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that at all.
There's 101 differences, and I'm not saying this to defend Cena because I think you're on the money. But there is absolutely the element to this of, like, one of the differences between those two things is The Rock had a heel turn that the audience shaped, right? They pushed back.
Yeah, of course.
When I watched John Cena, I really struck, and this is not a defense of his performance, because I think he should have been better as a heel, quite frankly, because in all the years of fantasy booking and such, I do think it's hard to watch it and not just think, like, should they have done this at all, man? That's, like, the question I keep coming back to.
That's what makes it feel surreal, man.
Yeah.
To me, because it's like, as if this is, like, sorry,
this
but
is
like,
it, bro. This is the last year.
Yeah, like, this is it. It's the last year, but it's also, like, this is Cena turning heel.
This is it.
We've been talking about this for 20 years, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe sometimes don't meet your heroes. You know, like that. Like, sometimes just leave Pandora's box closed. You know, like that. But,
dude, in 30 years, when they show the 17th title win, that's what it'll look like. When they watch back, for the generation, it means something to Cena and Orton, which is, that's not something that matters to us, really. For the people it matters to, they're going to watch the last match back and it's going to have our truth on the finish. Like, is this really the time for this? Like, maybe it just the ship had sailed, dude. Maybe he should just have been a babyface. I don't know.
But then it's like the angle. Like, the angle was so good, bro. And it's just like, are we just saying that because, like, creatively... Yeah, like, there's like performance aspect. There's context aspects to it. There's performance aspects to it. There's creative aspects to it. Like, it's all just... It's very... You know, like we were saying a few minutes ago, bro. Like, when you pick these things apart, like, he's scratching your head, you know?
He's out there, and by his own admission, he isn't the wrestler he used to be. And he is now, like, 47 years old, tasked with being a heel in these matches, which he has not done in legitimately over 2 decades. It's just... it's just bizarre. I'm baffled. I watch it, and I know a lot of people love the match, and, like, clearly I did not. More on that to come, but I just would have rather them just have a babyface match for what they were going to do. And I know that's the point, that's the heat, but it isn't really, because I don't really care anymore, you know? Like, it isn't really good heat on me because I have lost interest in the thing entirely. And this is the last year of, like, one of the greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. It's fucking bizarre situation. I find it to be, the more I talk about it, the more it confuses me.
Yeah, nah, same, bro. And it's like, it's the more I can't believe it. The more I talk about what I've actually seen with my own eyes the past 2 months,
for real, yeah.
the less I believe it's actually happening. Like, bro, is this really, like, is this seen as, like, retirement? Like, is this the heel turn that the world has been yearning for? Like, is this?
We're in May, bro. He's retiring,
and he's out there, and he'll be out there, and it's like you get the Cena sucks chance, And he does like something. He'll just say something mad cliche. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, okay, like yo, he's. I think that, and obviously I'm just repeating myself to you, Joe, because I said this before we went live. But there's when he announced his retirement tour and he was doing like all the interviews and stuff and all the promotion leading up to it. Obviously, when people would ask him like, "Why are you retiring? Don't you think you could go along and look at other people or blah 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 blah? Look, this person went this to this age, blah blah blah." And one thing that's seen a repetitive, like he has all kinds of different reasons. One thing he kept repeating was like, "I've lost a step," you know, and I've always said once I see that I've lost a step, I'm gonna step away. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, now I definitely feel, I can feel it, I can see I've lost a step. And he's like, bro, I can forgive that. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, he has lost a step. He lost a step a few years ago. Do you know what I mean? But so I can forgive that, and that isn't my issue with any of this, bro.
No.
That's not my issue with any of this. It's more like, it's almost like he's lost it in terms of like
He's
like creative instincts and his feel for it. Obviously, it's John Cena, bro, and I'm not diminishing anything that he's done prior to this. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like right now when he's in there and you see him do things like he does all the cliches and stuff like that, and he does show you glimpses, bro. Like he'll show you a glimpse. Like on Friday when that fan threw the bottle in and he stopped the promo. Do you know what I mean? And he like brought attention. Like that's good shit, bro. You know what I mean? It's not exactly super in-depth character work, but it just shows that like moments. Yeah, like he still, little sparks of those instincts are still there, but it's just like it just feels like he's. I know I just said it about Triple H, but like it just feels like he's lost his fastball, like mentally. Do you know what I mean? When it comes to this shit,
weird.
so
yeah, There have been good segments, and I liked his promos in Vegas that I was there for. He does often feel like a robot, like doing professional wrestling things. It's very hard to explain it another way than that. Like that R-Truth thing they did at the presser. That felt like it was like a skit from like a wrestling comedy movie, you know?
Felt like
that's like Ready to Rumble. Yeah, like it's just it's hard to put your finger on. And like I'm looking at the chat and it seems like people get what we're saying, even though we're both like at a loss.
Listen, we got a smart audience here, bro.
Good answer.
Educated
very
audience.
Nice. Yeah, very nice answer.
And no ball, bro.
It's just John Cena. The brilliance of John Cena was like he wasn't a guy who was like mechanically razor sharp, you know. He was a guy who had this feel for wrestling, and he would just have this ability to feel that magic, you know, and seize the moment. And that big match John was a shoot. Exactly, right? We're on the same page. That was a real thing, dude. He had a feel for pro wrestling. And at some point in the 2010s, I do think when he fell in love with the kickouts, he began. I think that's the start of it. You know, we're doing like a timeline. I think like Springboard Stunner is the first. That's the first attack, you know, and then like you just watch it, and then he starts doing. You said to me, I think we were talking about. No, it was Eve who said to me a couple weeks ago. That's what it was. He said he's like lived as a meme. Like he's aware of like the jokes people say about, you know, you can't see him and all this stuff, and he's lost. Something has happened, folks. He's lost the ability to like. His human touch has left him. It seems there's no other way to. But if you're watching the TV, I think you know what I mean by this. It is John Cena. I know it's him. He looks like him. He talks like him.
Bro, it's AI, man. You know, it's like if AI was told to do a John Cena impression. It's like this.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's fucking wild, man. Like we keep saying, it's surreal to see.
Yes, and you have to stress, as you said, and I'm glad you did. Let's be very clear about this. This doesn't change all that he did for all those years, right? Like, let's be clear, because we get carried away sometimes. We have our fun. John Cena was unbelievable. And that's very much worth celebrating his retirement year. And when the time comes, I'd love to do a show where we talk about that. However, we got to see it. And as of right now, it is a very strange experience watching him. Very, very strange. And I think it is having, to be completely honest, I think the creative right now is very much built in a way where they are reliant on him as like the centerpiece. And I think it is causing the complacency that is exacerbated by where we're at with him, you know? It almost feels like they kind of put their feet up and went, we got Cena's retirement, bro. Turning him heel.
Yeah, put your feet up.
Meanwhile, John's like sweating bullets about his heel promos. Like, oh, Jesus, what have I got? You know? Texting Vince for ideas. I mean, it's just... it's fucking crazy, bro. It's crazy. When they shot that angle, we all went on StreamYard. We all losing our shit. It's like the NWO. It was 2 months ago, man. It was 2 months ago, and it feels like it was years ago. Because it's just no clue. I've got nothing. I'm out.
That's what I mean. It's like then, you know, let's keep it moving.
Yeah,
we'll come back round to Cena. You know what I'm saying? We'll come back round to him inevitably with the Backlash stuff. So I just wanted to point out this though. Perch for Roy. Tanahashi has lost 20 steps. And he, for those who don't know, Hiroshi Tanahashi, New Japan legend. I'm sure this audience is well informed on who that is, but he's also doing his retirement year as well. He's lost 20. Tanahashi's in worse condition physically than John Cena, comfortably, bro. Like he can't walk. Do you know that? Like he can't walk. His knees are made of paper mesh now. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But he's so aware. Do you know what I mean? And his feel is like, even if John was in his prime right now, like it's something to be compared to like Tanahashi's. Like his feel, you know. And as this live chat says, you know, his matches are so much more engaging now when he has those big, obviously his Road 2 matches and shit like that. They're like, that can be quite tough, you know what I'm saying? Like he can barely move out there, but when the moment calls for it, bro, his matches are so much more endearing, engaging. There's more of like a tension to them, and he plays on his age. He plays on his physical downfall. He plays on being outgunned. He plays on all these things, bro, and he does it fucking masterfully. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, even though he's fucked, you can see why he's in the conversation for the greatest wrestler that ever lived. You know. What's
crazy is all the things you're describing. Again, to go all the way back, we're like, you see flashes of it with Cena.
Yes.
Like if Cena's going to be a heel, I do like he's very self-aware about like the way people perceive him as a wrestler now, you know, and sometimes he's happy to be a pussy in there as a heel, which I really appreciate. But it comes with all this extra dressing that almost feels like he doesn't trust himself, you know. I think there's just so many extra factors with the Cena thing. Tanahashi, I think the biggest compliment you give is he feels like the same man, but an awful lot older. And there's I know that sounds stupid, but what I mean is, if you watch Hiroshi Tanahashi in 2012, you're not betrayed by who he is now. You're just aware of the years. And he wrestles in a way that matches that. He wrestles like a man who's not the same wrestler, you know, who's slower and vulnerable as a result of that. Whereas with Cena, it does feel like a guy playing John Cena. And that is a very different thing. So yeah, and again, there's things in the Orton match that his performance is not without merit. There's positives in there, and I thought the same about his performance in the first half of the Cody match. I think he has the makings of something there as a heel. But if you continue to lean on all of this smoke and mirrors, it's like, what is it even worth, bro? You know?
Do you think there's like? I know, like he said it in the interviews and stuff, like, yo, I've lost a step and that, like I was just mentioning, but like, do you think there's like a confidence thing to it?
Yes, I do. Yeah, I think he's a wrestler who was very reliant on rhythm and being in the ring a lot. This is a guy who was the top guy when you wrestled 200 matches a year, 200 plus. And I think he's now at a point in his life where he is tasked with having only wrestling when it's a signature major match. And he knows he's old and beat up, and I think it's really hard on him. I think this is not a guy who you're going to see get in the ring and just look smooth, right? That's not who he ever was. He was a guy who, out of just grit, psychology, and feel, ironically, became one of the most prolific big match wrestlers in American wrestling history. You never looked at his work and said, boy, that was pretty. That wasn't who John Cena was. And I think he really struggles about having that. You know, guys would work with Cena for 3 months and it would change their entire game because he would call everything in the ring. When guys stop doing that, you know, like he still does that. You can hear him. But if you're a guy who's going on feel and going out there and working the people blow by blow and calling the match in the ring, it's a lot harder to do that when you're wrestling once a month. And it's like a 27-minute match with 47-year-old Randy Orton, you know, rather than a guy you just worked for the last 3 weeks. It's just different. And he's doing it as a heel too. So like, I think there's absolutely.
He's trying new things whilst doing all this stuff as well. So even late into his career, trying new things, you know. But yeah, because like you said, it's like we get all these glimpses, and then it's like even his matches, it's like you get like the first 60-70% of it, and then it's like you get all these smoke and mirrors. It's like we don't need all of it. It's like
no.
He just had a bit more belief, confidence, and obviously we don't know if it's that, but like say if we are assuming that, like if you had a bit more kind of like confidence that you can do this, John. You know what I'm saying? Like, fix up, bro. Come on, John. Fix up, bro.
I would love to know whose call it was to go as long as they went. I believe they went nearly 30.
Well, that's fucking insane, isn't it?
Yeah, like why? Because if you take the time away, they could have had the first 60% you're describing could have been the first 80 or 90%.
Well, yeah, the smoke and mirrors took about 10 minutes, didn't it? On the first ref bump. They did like 3 ref bumps, bro. And obviously they had all like the official. Like, we'll get into it anyway.
27 minutes it was once. It was 27 minutes.
Good God.
Like why?
Anyway. Anyway. Shan, €5, appreciate it as always. I would have added the Io and Rhea versus Roxanne and Julia tag match to the card, and a Sammy and Seth match. Yeah, that tag match is on Raw tomorrow, isn't it? Then obviously the Sammy and Seth match. Would that have worked? Has Sammy been off TV since Braun killed him? Or did he come back last week? I can't remember, bro. Like, a lot of stuff went Oracle. A lot of stuff happened last week. I can't remember, but
I think he did.
I'd assume.
Wasn't he the finish of the? I don't know. No, I don't think so. Kyle said no.
He showed banged up on Raw. Yeah. Okay.
The J match.
Yeah. He did the run out in the J. Yeah. Then Braun speared him again. So,
getting the shit.
Yeah, kayfabe boys, he couldn't have gone against Seth, bro. Like, obviously, he could have done the whole babyface thing, you know what I mean? But he just came back. So if you're gonna do that, it's like you do that if you're gonna fucking write him off again. Do you know? So, I don't think they could have done Seth Sammy on this show particularly. Maybe in a couple of weeks, because obviously the big thing with Braun, ain't it? But definitely could have added that tag match. I think they probably should have when you put it like that. Do something else on Raw, fucking hell, you know, like I was saying earlier. Super Chatter's name I'll never say. Appreciate you as always. $2. Seth having better chemistry with Jay than Punk is wild. Is it? Is it that wild? Ask yourself that, bro. Like, you know, it's like, how wild is that, really?
guy who will follow Seth's lead and throw lots of super kicks, or CM Punk, who's a entirely different wrestler altogether. Yeah, it's probably not wild, but I get the idea because obviously Punk is a much better wrestler, but Seth and Punk are like is a philosophical collision of sorts. Jay doesn't really have a singles wrestler like philosophy. He's kind of he'll just sell and
happy to be there, mate.
Yeah, he just sells. He says he throws super kicks, he throws the big uppercuts. And they also worked a lot. They did a lot of like the Usos were in a lot of those Shield matches, right? The 6-mans back in the day.
Seth and Jay have shared the ring countless times, bro.
Yeah.
Countless times.
Yeah. So it makes sense. I haven't seen the match from Raw yet. I'm gonna be watching it though this week.
Yeah, man.
Here it was good.
Good shit, bro. And that's the sort of $5. Appreciate it as always. I don't get how Hunter don't think things can be better. Sure, there's some reactions in the building, but it's so narratively weak. It's lazy. I guess that kind of adds to what we was talking about earlier. But yeah, man, it just feels like they could push the envelope a lot more, bro. Vanjiminator 499. Joe, I'm late, but Dango drew a 2,000 people house in New York. Real don't know. Real. Don't know if anything was said. Did y'all like the Maple Leaf Pro show? Looked like a good card for them. I guess Joe, quick thoughts on Maple Leaf Pro from the weekend before we get into Backlash, mate.
So last night I had it on in the background while I was watching Backlash because we like advertised Backlash, and so I wanted to focus on that. And it wasn't a very grin along friendly show, and it was kind of just it was like just a polite wrestling show. I didn't really have much to ooh and ah about. I watched it back today with Papa Holbert, ironically. And
What's he think?
He really liked the show, like a lot more than I liked it. I was
Did he scout?
Dude, I swear this is going to pop you because it's so ridiculous. He loved Zack Sabre Jr. versus Jonathan Gresham. Which, as you know, like, it's not really my thing at all. But he was like, I would love to see more of this style. And I was like, well, they've wrestled over 150 times, so you're in luck. You'll be able to see some of that. He was big. He loved. He thought Bishop Dyer was going to win the strap.
Oh, God.
Was convinced. Asked me why Bishop Dyer wasn't in AEW. Pump my fist. I went, I don't know, man. Don't know what they're doing over there. Pump myself. The Good Brothers, he said, had shades of the Young Bucks. Didn't know what he was going for with that one. I just went, yeah, man. He really liked the show a lot. He thought it was a great show. I didn't think it was a great show. It was a decent show. The crowd liked it. Their shows are it very much feels like a promotion that's producing stuff just for like, it's sizzle reel material, bro. It's just stuff they can shop around right now. They're just putting things in place. Guys aren't exactly wrestling these shows like the WrestleMania is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like some of the guys he books I can't really wrap my head around. I will say, watching it with Papa Holbert, having Moro adds a lot for me personally. I know he's polarizing.
Oh, yeah, definitely, bro. It's Moro and Don, isn't it?
Yeah, and they're a good team, and the production's good. Like, that does add a lot to these shows.
100%. Especially if you're gonna lean on like trying to get a few WWE fans to watch it, like that stuff matters a lot, bro. How it just generally looks and sounds,
I will say, and I know he's a Canadian guy, and D'Amore has a great deal of a great affection for him. I think the PCO thing is like, I don't know how much juice there is left to squeeze there, man. I gotta be honest here. Like, he came out and he eliminated Billy Gunn and Rhino, which is a hilarious sentence. And the crowd's reaction was like, they kind of jeered, like, oh, really? The PCO thing was really fun for a minute there, but I mean, it's been a long time since that was the case, if we're being honest. Bless him, and as Rosho said, the next show, like, he's the only guy on the poster. Like, it's all about him, the next show. Yeah. The other thing that happened that will pop you is the Good Brothers War Dogs match ended in like an 81 All Japan double count out. And like the idea was to sell a rematch because I guess they're doing a rematch at the next show. But because of how wrestling is now, the crowd was just actively mad about it. Like, you could tell they were like chanting bullshit. They would. It's one of those things, right? Imagine in like D'Amore's head, they got the people are gonna be desperate for a sequel, and instead they were just like, "Fuck this! Where's our finish?" But yeah, Papa Holbert liked it.
Good, man. You know what? For Maple Leaf, bro, considering like what it is, and I'm sure it's because like Scott knows how to play that game, but like it gets very good coverage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It gets very good coverage.
People want to like it, don't they? I think people just want.
Definitely. I like the concept of him that you hear of him having, that he wants to have like a Canadian promotion. Like that's a cool. Oh, they like make going to Canada more of a thing,
Yeah.
In the way that we talk about going to Mexico or Japan or something like that. Like, obviously it's next door to the US, so it's never gonna. Well, Mexico is as well. So,
and also
if they can really kind of like, if he can really kind of nail down that stampede culture, do you know what I'm saying? That would be cool, bro. So,
well, I think it's appealing for someone like. We've listened to those interviews and we've heard that explanation. It pops us because, if we're being honest, if you listen to like Colt Bauer or Billy Corgan explain how they're going to make inroads in the industry, you kind of just go, "It's not happening, is it?" I mean, the infamous great Jeremy Lambert used to always quote it, but Billy Corgan's thing when he was asked how they were going to like change the business, he went, "We're going to go straight up the middle." That was what Billy Corgan's business model was. We're going to go straight up the middle. And he's like, the interview was like, "What? Straight up the middle." And it's just like, if he at least has like an idea of how they're going to become a thing. So hopefully it works. I'm rooting for him. We just need as many places that are of interest as possible, right? So
Yeah, definitely, bro. 100%. Okay then. WWE Backlash, St. Louis, Missouri. We're gonna recap this show real quick. But I say real quick. We're gonna get through this show. We're gonna go through the matches. It was a polite show, you know. I don't think any of the matches were like terrible or anything like that. I don't think anything was overly offensive. Maybe the finish at the end of the main event. Obviously, we'll get into that. We spoke about that a little bit already. But yeah, man. Overall, I think whoever sent the super chat, was it Black Yakuza? 6 out of 10. You know, I don't think that's an outrageous score, to be honest. But yeah, let's get into it, man. So the first match on the show was Jacob Fatu defending the United States Championship versus LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, and Damian Priest. And you know me, guys, I'm not the biggest on triple threats, fatal four ways, all that sort of stuff. I think they follow the very, what's the word, formulaic. You know, it's like, what I'm trying to say is in this match they very much took their turns. You know what I'm saying? And it was a good match. They kept by doing that and taking turns of just like hitting the big shit on each other and stuff like that, and people having phases of momentum, two people in a ring at a time, and all that sort of stuff that they were doing. He keeps it exciting, keeps it high energy, cool spots, and then kind of in the last last 20% of the match, it kind of splits off with Drew McIntyre and Priest fighting off into the crowd. That was cool. You know, we got the big table spot. Drew banged his head. Apparently he's okay, but he did look a bit booky at the time. Then obviously in the ring you had Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, and they're kind of scrapping it out. LA Knight gets Jacob Fatu on the announcer's table. Well, who comes out of the crowd to save Jacob Fatu? Pulls him off the table. It's Solo Sikoa. LA Knight gets down. He's like, yo, he's about to move to Solo Sikoa, and boof, gets taken out by this mystery man in the crowd. The mystery man in the crowd hops the barricade, sorry. It's Jeff Cobb. It's Big Jeff. It's Big Jeff, Joe. Good. Jeff Cobb. And yeah, he beat LA Knight a bit, threw him back into the ring. Jacob Fatu just had to pick him off then. Do you know what I mean? Hits his finish to go home. Jacob Fatu did not look very happy about this. They did not stick to the game plan. Jacob Fatu tried telling Solo Sikoa what the game plan was last night. You know, all gas, no breaks with it, Joe. And he was going to dog walk McIntyre. He was going to dog walk Priest. He's going to dog walk LA Knight. And, you know, basically stay out my business, bro. And Solo Sikoa did not do that. And he's shown up with a new friend as well. Big Cobb, Big Jeff. Yeah, man, Fatu wasn't happy with this, but this was a good match, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, and just because I don't like fatal four ways and kind of how they're usually put together, I'm not gonna say this was bad. But like I said, kept it very high energy, exciting, really cool spots. There was like Jacob Fatu like went crazy in the middle of this at one point. Do you know what I mean? Like you have like stuff like that happening. So, this was a very good match to start the show off. I thought so. But yeah, man, obviously the Jeff Cobb, Jacob Fatu, Bloodline Solo stuff, we'll see how that plays out. But again, Joe, good opener.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought this was probably the second best match on the show. I thought the match's biggest challenge, to be honest, this kind of came to be, was like, you inevitably compare it to the Mania 4-way for the IC strap, and like it wasn't as good as that. You know, it just that instinctively was what I thought when they booked it. That's why I would have avoided, but. I thought it was well done. My biggest issue with it was how much it got like cutscened at the end. You know,
yeah.
If I was LA Knight, I wouldn't have been thrilled with the way that was executed, because he kind of felt like an afterthought in the finish, which is, you know, I think when you're a guy he's stature, I think that's probably not necessarily where you want to be. But I thought the performance element of it, everyone was on point. LA Knight is really fun, dude. In ring, he's really fun.
No, it looked really good. I thought. Really
there are a lot of guys who are technically and mechanically better than him who are not nearly as fun to watch in a setting like that. You know, I'm like, in an arena that's with him, his energy he has like a toughness to his game. He has a weird 2000s indie flavor too, where he does like moves that he shouldn't really do, and he kind of fucks up sometimes. It makes him feel dangerous. Shout out Sabu. And he's honestly, I think, is like sincerely underrated at this point. I think
No,
he's
100%.
legitimately
I think
good.
he has been for a minute.
Yeah, he's legitimately good. You know, Drew and Priest have their thing, and they're both good here. And Jacob is probably the most. He's probably the wrestler in WWE I enjoy watching the most. That's sort of like EO. You know, just watching him bump is like, wow, what a marvel. So I like the match. I again, as I said, I know he disagrees. He's in the chat, but I didn't think it was as good as I didn't think it was nearly as good to us as the Dom match at Mania. But I was also there for that, so good match though.
No, I'd agree with you. I thought this was a good match. I didn't think it was quite the Mania one, but yeah, good match, man. I'm with you on it being the second best match on the show as well. Michael Cole loves telling us that Jacob Fatu was once incarcerated.
He's got to chill, bro. He's got to chill. He sounds crazy. Like, what does he want us to do, man? Do you want me to cuff him? What does he want us to do?
It's probably because like he's the only person they've been allowed to do that shit with. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Oh,
bad
bro.
vibes. It's bad vibes, money.
Do we even know, bro? They don't even tell us what he went in for either. So someone could look that up. Anyway.
Anyway, up next.
But yeah, Drew McIntyre's apparently fine. Triple H did say at the
good,
the post-show press conference, if you can even call it that. You know, he did bang up his head, and the world worried about him a bit, but he's all good. So yeah, Jacob Fatu successfully retains, and we've got the big Jeff Cobb bloodline element coming out of it. Drew McIntyre was screwed by Damian Priest again. Drew McIntyre had the match won. Damian Priest dragged him out the ring. And then obviously they did that big table spot on the outside. So it seems like that's going to carry on, which doesn't really excite me, to be brutally honest with you. But
yeah, what's the step going to be there? Like last man standing or something?
I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really either, but I was just,
no, but it's a fair question. Like they did this, what was it? A street fight at Mania. Yeah. They did a steep match at Mania. Like what? This isn't something anyone was going into. Like, yeah, this is my multi-month feud that I'm gonna get my teeth into, bro. Like, no, bro. Like, come on, man.
Drew is the best example of a guy who feels like he's running in place, right? Like they're just keeping him
brutal, man.
Yeah, he needs something that he can really sink his teeth into, like soon, man. Like now.
He's so good as well, man. Like it's like he cut a great promo on Jacob Fatu on Friday.
He did. I saw that.
You know, and it's just like
that's the match I want, bro. Give me Jacob.
That's a world title match, that is.
Right, but give us
I'll take it for the US title, you know, if you're giving it me. But like,
because this be real, like you could say it's a heel match, but Jacob's he's not a heel. Let's be honest, bro. He's a babyface.
No. Not at this point, bro. Even Drew gets some pops and that because he's just like people like him because he's fucking good. You know?
I think the cell match, like people just see him as a top guy, you know. So
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So after this, Clash of Champions in Saudi Arabia was announced for June 28th. A lot of eagle-eyed viewers, Joe, noticed that CM Punk appeared in this advertising package. I still don't think he's gonna be there. You know, maybe I'm wrong. You know, I'm not exactly gonna be like, idea. You know, I'm not exactly gonna feel that strongly either way. But gun to my head right now, I'd guess that he's not gonna be there, and it's just WWE Pro. I don't know, bro. He might be, but
yeah.
Anyways, that's been announced for June 28th. Clash of Champions. Do you think they actually do a Clash of Champions, Joe? You know? Or do you think it'll be like? You think it'll be like Battle of the Belts? You know?
Yeah, I think it's just the way. I mean, what did they do last year? It's just a normal pipe, right?
I can't fucking remember, bro.
Clash
My memory's cooked.
Clash of Champions. Is that something they've just brought back, or have they done that last year?
Night of Champions, Clash of Champions. It's Clash of Champions, isn't it? It was Night of Champions last year, right? King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. I don't know, bro. Anyway, they did that 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago. They did Gunny versus Randy last year. Yeah, I
That
remember that
was
now.
that was Crown Jewel though. Remember?
Last year was King of the Ring and Crown Jewel. Yeah, that feels
Yeah.
right. That feels
I'm sure it
correct.
will be. I'm sure it will just be the rest.
2023 was Clash of Champions. Okay, there we go.
God, look at us, just putting
We're
things
we're
together.
we're we're just, we're just fucked, mate.
Excellent.
You see, Monty is fried. Joe's right there with me, bro. Like, do
Hey,
not
okay. Listen, hear me out here.
throw me under the bus, fam.
Wait,
What
hang on
the
a second.
fuck?
Hang on a second. Hang on. King of the Ring. Didn't Gunther and Cody wrestle at the Crown Jewel for the Crown Jewel
For
Championship?
the Crown
of the
Jewel
World?
Championship.
Yeah, that wasn't King.
Everyone, everyone thought Gunther was going to win, and Cody was just like, nah.
Cal's putting the boots to me in our chat. He said it was King of the Ring. It wasn't King of the Ring. King of the Ring was a different show altogether. This is the problem with this business, Monty, you know? Respect your veterans, folks. We're trying our best here. I mean, seriously. I mean, we're trying. I mean, this is...
You know,
this
then we're getting scrutinized for not remembering exactly what was on fucking Saudi shows, bro. Come on.
Bro,
Respect us a bit,
look,
man.
I'm trying my best here. I said Randy and Gunther. I say a lot of things, Cal. Doesn't make them right or wrong. I just say them. You know, it's just... here's the deal, folks. This last 3 minutes of audio of us looking at the chat and reading it is far better than if I had a sincere take on whether or not they were going to do Clash of the Champions. So let's just roll with it, you know? Let's just rock with it.
Yeah,
It
so
worked.
we plow ahead, you know? It's what we
Did our
do.
thing, guys. Thanks, everyone. Group effort.
Next match on WWE Backlash was Laura Valkyria defending the women's IC title versus Becky Lynch. I love the way that the women's IC title looks, you know.
Yeah.
The white strap, the bit of blue on it. Really nice. Becky Lynch's first match in basically a year. Singles match, obviously. I thought it flowed very well. I thought the way that they built up to like that, for example, like the way that they built up to that first manhandle slam by Becky, and then the pop that Lyra gets when she kicks out of it, you know, and that's just from the way that they built the match and the way that it flowed so well. Becky's so good, you know. I think she's so good at wrestling. You said it earlier, she wrestles with a purpose, but I think she wrestles very kind of like within the role that she's supposed to play very well, you know. She knows what she needs to get out of certain matches, you know, and I think she played a role in this very well, you know, and I think that was evident by the crowd reactions and how they decided they got more with Laura as the match went on, and by the time that Laura won the match, the crowd was right there with it, and that's kind of like the purpose of what she needed to do in that match, you know. If obviously that was going to be the result, I know a lot of people were backing Becky to actually win the match, you know, but for that finish, I thought they had kind of almost like the perfect match, really, you know, for what they needed to do in that moment, in that placement on the card as well, second match on the show, you know. What I will say though, at the end of the match, I love this is just a wrestling thing. I love when they do something to try and not bury the ref, and the ref still ends up like burying themselves
Totally
or just
buried,
looking
yeah.
dumb. Yeah, like it's like Becky does the whole thing and she gets out the ring, she grabs a chair. Jessica Carr, she takes the chair off her, and while she's putting the chair away, Becky takes the turnbuckle pad off, and you're like, okay, do you know what I mean? Like trying to protect the ref a bit here, you know. And then like there was a few spots where Laura nearly goes into the turnbuckle and Jessica notices that the pad's off now. And then mid-action, she gets out of the ring to grab the pad. And as she turns around and gets into the ring, she can see that Lyra is setting Becky up for her finish. Like she's basically already in the air with it, you know what I'm saying? So then Jessica sees this, slides into the ring anyway, turns her back to the action to put the turnbuckle on, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then acts surprised when she's late to make the count, and obviously Becky kicks out of Laura's finish, you know what I mean? And it's like the hard cam caught all of this.
I felt bad.
So it's like, yeah, so it's like, again, it's just one of those wrestling things that just kind of like morbidly pop me when like they try not, you can see the effort, like they try not to bury the ref. and whether it's just camera angles or, a little brain malfunction in a split second. You know what I mean? It's just like they're still head up buried.
Yeah. I
So
think
that
in
happened.
this case, they just, and I have a lot of praise to the match. That I think they did get like way cute down the stretch, sadly, which is a shame. It was like convoluted and overly complicated. It didn't need to be. I get why it was because it's the first match in a feud. So that would be the negative. The positives for I was the best match on the show.
Same.
I thought this was the best individual Becky Lynch performance. Not to suggest that I've watched all of them, and she had a lot of good ones in that NXT title run where she was getting like real matches out of Xia Li and people that weren't featured on TV. But mechanically, this is the sharpest I think she's looked in like. When was the Bianca Mania match? 3 years ago. I would, that would be my rough outline in terms. Mechanically, she was so strong here. And I think Lyra's an opponent who will bring the best out of her in that sense. We talk about her psychology a lot and her understanding structure and pacing, but I think like her work here was just really good. Lyra Valkyria is a really interesting kind of puzzle piece for them because she wrestles, and I mean this as a compliment, and not even in like a fed bad way, but like she wrestles in a very un-WWE fashion, And it takes a bit of adjusting to, I think, for people because her matches, there's a sort of rough edge to them. They're a bit bumpy. The way she does her offense, it's kind of roughhouse, It's like she has a lot of power moves, and she has this kind of instinctive raw feel to some of the stuff she does. And I don't know who would be a good comparison of that on the main roster, especially in the role that she's been slotted in. She's a very interesting wrestler to watch, and I think she's someone that when you see her in matches like this where she has space and like room to kind of go for it, you see her go through the gears rapidly, right? Like her offense in this was great, dude. Some of the best on the whole show.
It complements Becky so well as well because Becky can place it so well,
Yeah, and they trust each other, get really physical, right? And this was like it was scrappy. This was a proper pro wrestling match, And I think
Becky has those.
Yeah, but I think you left this with a conclusion of like, if this was match one, imagine if they get to a point when they get to the blow off and they can get their own way on the finish and not have to do 101. Like this may sound crazy. If there is an evolution this year and these two get 20, 25 minutes, let me be clear, it shouldn't have to be on an evolution that happens, but I'll take that part of it. If they get 20 to 25 minutes on Raw or on pay-per-view, I actually think these two can have like the kind of shit that we talk about at the end of the year,
Yeah,
like,
I think they can do that. I think they're definitely capable. Like this match was
Becky's
good, bro. But
really
match
good,
of the night. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it had issues we talked about, and it was wrestled as the first match of the series. So like Becky, it's very obvious Becky's like super motivated because she hears the noise. And let's be honest, Becky came back to try and help this Lyra, to get Lyra where she wants her to be. Let's be honest, that's the truth, right? So when she hears all the noise, it will make her even more locked in on that. And you can already feel like she is desperate to make Lyra what she feels she should be. And I think she's picked someone who's worthy of that, to be clear. And I think when Becky Lynch has a mindset on something and she's locked in on something, I think she's dangerous. So this is something that has my attention. Like I will watch the rest of their matches.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously.
Hopefully they have, extended series. I think you can do that with these two. So
I think they definitely will as well.
Yeah.
Especially with Becky losing the first one like that. It's like it's going to be like a 3-match series. You think?
Yeah.
Whereas like if Becky won this one, you think, oh, maybe Laurie just wins the belt back or just has a rematch and loses and they move on. But I think with Becky losing the first one, there's obviously a lot more to come. Regarding like he might be the sharpest she looks since the Bianca match, I'd say probably the last Laura match.
yeah, they have a lot of chemistry. That's fair.
The last Laura match, the NXT
her
one.
wrestling was it was tremendous here.
But yeah, definitely a while though. Like definitely, probably since 2023, because I believe the first Laura match was in 2023. So yeah, man. There was that cage match as well with Trish. That was like impossibly good. Do you know what I mean?
The spirit of that was so. Like again, like I don't know if that was.
That's
good.
Not sharpness, but like,
yeah, it was more
that
just
was
like that
impossibly good though. You know?
That match had a charm of it was just two women refusing to do anything but rock it. Like they just decided we're going to tear the house down. You know, Trish was bonkers in that match, dude. Yeah, I mean Becky's
good
great.
times.
Like we spoke about, I spoke earlier. She's so valuable, man. Like, and I'm not here to pretend she's my favorite because she's not. And like when she's not around, I don't personally. I'm not like texting Monty, "Where is Becky Lynch?" You know what I'm saying? But like whenever she's around, dude, like the shows are better for it, and she makes people better around her. She's a fucking legend, dude. For real.
I'll tell you though, bro. I've missed Becky.
No, I know you're a bigger fan.
I've missed Becky Lynch, bro.
Yeah.
She's a big part of my WWE enjoyment, I'd say.
You're a big fan.
Especially now especially like in like more recent years where she's got like a lot more power. Do you know what I mean? So it's like she can do that shit that she was doing before she took time off. Where she was like, "I want a title match with Charlie on fucking Raw." Do you know what I mean? And I want it to go 12 minutes. Like she can do that. She's got that motion. So she is one of those women as well. Like I think it's more kind of like she proves it more with her actions, bro. Like she definitely does care about uplifting other women in the division. Do you know what I mean? She's like, yeah, she does speak glowingly about doing things for women's wrestling and stuff like that, but it's not always at the forefront of what she's saying, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's one of her main contributions to the business in recent years, you know? It's just kind of
for
like...
Sure. I mean, dude...
It's like you just said, like, she's so determined to get Laura over right now, you know?
It's just all of that, like... We could have an hour conversation, but the way people talk about someone like her politic and someone like Charlotte politicking is fucking crazy, man. Like, it's actively, it makes me kind of cringe, you know? It's like Top Star has creative input. Like, that's the story, dude. You can get mad about it, but like it's way bigger problem for some reason when it's one of those two rather than when it's like one of the 10 top guys who absolutely have creative input and control the shit they do a lot of the time, you know? If Becky Lynch don't have creative input, that would be a fucking like a terrible shame with what she's done in WWE and in the industry. She absolutely should have creative input. 100%. And it's not her problem that there's like collateral damage from that sometimes. Like she's not the booker of the entire show. That's the other guy. That shit annoys me. I'm sorry. I know we went to it, man. You didn't even bring it up.
She's special. No, she's special.
It annoys me. Yeah, because it's like
it's fucking stupid. It is a worthwhile conversation, bro, because there is definitely something to it. And it's obviously it's like what Big E touched on yesterday. You know, the way people talk about like those top women that are like approaching 40 or whatever, compared to the way they talk about men that are in the exact same position, the exact same age, is very different. I do think wrestling fans should be more conscious of when they're doing that. You know,
it's what
I don't think it's always intentional. You know,
it's not. No, it's not all. It's what we talked about months ago, and Jenny clipped it, and people, thankfully, got what we were saying. We talked about like it's a case of subconsciously thinking and convincing yourself that there can only be like 8 spots for top stars in the women's division. You know. And like that can never change because that's what almost has been drilled into our heads from the way these shows are booked often. Like Stephanie Bakir being called up is not a case of, well, I guess Becky's out. It's like, no, that just means you have Becky and Stephanie Bakir. That needs to change. It absolutely does. And hopefully it is. Look, I think we talked a lot about WWE's woes earlier and creatively. I think there is a lot of optimism about the women's division and there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of creatively, but they are getting more time on TV and they're delivering, right? This big match on Raw tomorrow. So hopefully things are trending positively in that regard. Hopefully we get evolution, you know, hopefully.
Oh yeah, hopefully. I'm a little shaky on it, although I know some of the scoopsters are adamant that it's happening. I'm just like,
you're right, yeah, until it's announced.
Maybe they announce it for like later than what's being rumored. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, that's possible. But yeah, man. I'll just quickly touch on what you were saying about Lyra.
Yeah.
She passes every test, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, we'll put you in this big Mania match with X, Y, and Z. We'll put the first IC title on you. You'll have to defend and work to get these matches over. And it's like, okay. Tick, 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 tick. You know? You get put in this big spot with Becky Lynch. And I think we all expected this to have a pretty high floor, you know? I'm not sure if I expected this to be a match of the night, though. And that's not to
Right.
say that this was like a 5-star match or anything. Like Joe was saying, first match of the series vibes to it, you know, but in a good way. Definitely left kind of like some more to build on with it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Lyra passes every test. She never looks out of her depth in these positions. She never gets outshone by the top stars. And
Seems like her promo's coming along too, I hear. So
yeah, definitely. It's like just I think it's more just kind of like being able to be in a position to work with somebody like Becky Lynch. You're gonna get that live promo time. She's obviously you'd assume that she'd be quite helpful with that as well, you know. And it's just kind of like
that's where
you
Becky
got
gets the whole conversation, right? She's going to do an angle. She's not going to just be like, give me 10 with Lyra. Like, it's going to be an angle. It's going to be a whole thing. They're going to have 3 matches, 4 matches.
yeah, like the thing with Charlotte Lee where like they built up a finisher, the kick, and it was like this big thing. You know, she's like, listen, Becky's an all time, bro. Like I've got her right up there with one other woman for the greatest women's US wrestler of all time. Like US based, obviously I know she's not America, but US based women's wrestler of all time. She's right up there. She's 1 or 2 for me. She's 1A, 1B, you know.
In terms of like
with
WWE,
Mercedes.
I think in terms of like WWE career, and in fear of sounding like I'm on WWE.com, in fear, you know, WWE superstar, whatever that means to you, like with what she's done in the company, she's probably the 1 seed all time, to be honest.
Yeah, if you just talk WWE, she's 100% number 1, bro.
Because what she's done,
number 1.
like as the man, she was the top star in the whole company for a minute, and that's, you could argue that's never really been replicated.
It hasn't.
I think
probably it was never done before. It's not been done since, and it's gonna. I think it will take somebody very special that transcends pretty much like she did, and capture the lightning in the bottle, like what happened with the man. You know, like so many different things have to line up for that to happen again.
I think I do think Rhea is popular enough to make that happen. But it doesn't feel like there's much motivation to make that the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not saying Rhea's underpushed. I clearly love Rhea, but it doesn't feel like there's much motivation to make her the 1 seed in the whole promotion. To me,
she's not as good. Rhea clearly has the X factor, but I don't think she has like the intangibles that Becky has.
Yeah, maybe.
You know,
I think her crossover appeal is crazy. You know.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I think her doing it. You see, like Becky's explosion when she became the top star in the company was very much like all on her, to be honest. You know, it's like it wasn't meant to happen. You know, like that. And you know, not to give the devil credit, do you know what I mean? But obviously, WWE creative at the time, once it got to a certain point, they decided to go with it and they made it happen. She main evented WrestleMania, blah 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 blah. But she's I've lost where I was going with this.
Well, because you remember what the creative was like, and it gave you the chills. Like
it threw me off.
Yeah. The fact that once she main evented WrestleMania, their big idea for her was she was going to work with Lacey Evans, and it's like.
This is where I was going. Yeah. So when Becky got to that stage that we were just talking about, it was very much her willing it through, getting over by herself. It was very organic and authentic, and that's not to say that with Rhea it would be inauthentic and wouldn't be organic. Well, I think it would be very much the opposite in a sense of if that was to happen with Rhea, I think it would be more the case of like the machine realizing fully what they have with her and getting behind her in that sense, and getting behind like
which
the crossover appeal and trying to get her into these different areas of media and blah 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 blah, like and doing that sort of stuff. Whereas like Becky was just so raw, you know.
Yeah. For sure. I just think with Netflix, like.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's another thing. Man. It's just like
being on Netflix,
you put Rhea all over the front page and all that sort of shit. Do you know what I mean? Like it'd be very company driven. Whereas like Becky would just show up and wrestle. Like that's literally what got her over. Like she'd show up, she started getting really over by just wrestling and people liking her. And then when Vince decided to turn a heel, the fans completely rejected that. But in a good way, by cheering her. Do you know what I mean? And then the man was born. And then you got the angle with the Survivor Series thing where we got like when she was all bloody in the crowd. That took her to another level. That was her like Cody tearing his pec moment.
That was her 316. Yeah, sure. I think Becky's biggest advantage is like as a wrestling promo and as her feel for angles is better than a lot of the competition in that regard. You know, like Rhea's a star, But like, I don't know if Rhea would quite have. She's a lot younger and a lot fresher to the game. But I don't think she's gonna have like you said to her, kind of an angle for this Xia Li program. I don't know if Rhea's gonna have ideas the way Becky does, right? Becky, she's kind of old school in that way, and I don't mean that as a reflection of Rhea. I mean it as a reflection of Becky. She's kind of an outlier, I think, in that
special.
sense, anyway. Yeah, but she's awesome, dude. I'm glad we did this conversation because I think this is probably less common than it should be as of late with Becky.
She's got one. Awesome. I think she's got one of the better minds for the business out of probably 99% of active wrestlers. To be honest, you know, she's great, man. And like I said, Laura continues to pass every test. Her ascension, very organic. She's killing it, bro. She's killing it. But yeah, I thought that was our match of the night. So yeah. Right, next match on the show, Dominic Mysterio successfully defends his IC title versus Penta. And I thought this was a pretty good match. Had some cool spots. Dom hit that really cool tope DDT, diving DDT. You know, Penta based very well for a lot of Dom shit. As expected, to be honest. This was just a nice match. I don't think it was anything particularly overly special. Obviously, it got a lot of the interference in it, as you would expect from the Judgment Day. And even for the finish, we got El Grande Americano comes out with the loaded mask and he headbutts Penta off the ropes, and that kind of leads to the finish. So, but yeah, I thought this was a nice little time. Nothing too crazy though, Joe.
I think this goes back to the conversation we had an hour ago, in that this was a nice match that I think would play a lot better as like match 5 of an 8-match card rather than match 3 of a 5-match card. You know, like it was a nice match. It did feel very TV, to be honest.
Yeah.
With
the finish as well.
For sure. Yeah. It was. They kind of just had a moves match, which was interesting seeing Dom have a match like that. And he was good in the match. I think Dom's like, and I have for a while, I think Dom's sincerely good at this point and has been for a bit. Penta, watching Penta like establish his general rhythm and groove in the WWE has been very funny. Like it's just because he's so deep in his career that he's going to be Penta. So if you go back and watch the Gable match, he was doing some things you hadn't seen him do in a few years, and now like gradually, step by step, he's edging back to where he wants to be at this point in his life. And
his natural state.
Yeah, and that's not a critic. Like Penta's cool as fuck, but like, he has his match, doesn't he? Like he's not gonna. You don't watch Penta and go, that was a really interesting structural choice. You know, he does Penta. And here he had Dom do a moves match, and the results were fun. This felt like a weird choice for Backlash, to be honest. And like when it ended, I didn't really have much better idea why it was on the show. But I thought Dom was really good in it. Penta looked cool. I like the blue, the gear looks cool. So yeah, I mean the Finn Balor thing, I have no idea like what percentage of the audience cares about that. I genuinely don't know. But they seem
so really long as well, bro. Like
insane.
I know Triple H. Like it was like almost a meme, and it is like like how long his builds and that would go. But like these slow breakup angles he does with like between friendships and groups are like getting like, bro, like you've got the Finn Dom thing that's been going on that feels like forever and ever, and it almost feels like you're going in circles. And he does this a lot. Triple H was doing this a lot, where like it feels like he's getting to breaking point and
resets. Yeah,
you know, it's not. It's like, bro, been doing it with. I know, like we don't care about them as much, yeah, and they don't get as much TV time, but like the Theory and Grayson Waller stuff is absurd, bro. Like, what are we doing?
Well, I just don't think they're ever going to do it now. I think they're just like it's just a thing.
They still tease it though. Like it's
probably a rib.
It's got to be at this point, but yeah.
The other thing is,
and it kills the interest. I think like if you could have probably talked me into like Dom and Finn, and I'm not exactly huge on like into. You know, fuck, I ain't even gonna say that, but like, you could have talked me into it a lot easier a few months ago. You know what I mean, like the Dom and Finn stuff.
Yeah.
But like now, it's just like he's gone in circles. There's been a title win for Dom. Like, it's
just. At some point, you do have to ask the question of like, and I like Finn a lot, and I clearly like Dom. We just talked about like, this is all for at the end of the day, bro. It has to be Dom versus Finn. Like, is the juice worth the squeeze? You know what I'm saying? This ain't gonna be. I mean, I'm sure it'll be good, you know, but like, I don't think this is gonna be a SummerSlam main event. Is what I'm getting at. So,
yeah, I'd get at that point as well, mate. But So yeah, Dom successfully retains. Like I said, El Grande Americano involved in the finish, so we'll see where that leads. Jey Uso versus Logan Paul is official for Saturday night's main event. That was announced on this show. Fuck.
That is
Yeah.
deeply evil. Deeply evil.
Yeah. It feels spiritually unsettling, you know.
It's wrong.
Saturday night's main event. Nothing's sacred, bro.
I'm not. Yeah, you got to draw the line somewhere in life. They will not get me that one. I'm doing something else, bro. That's. I mean, I have so many issues with it. It's not even worth talking about. But like, I know what that match is going to look like, and it's going to have like GIF moments in it, and it's going to make me very mad. So I'll just simply avoid it because you have nothing nice to say. Don't say nothing. All right, money. That's what my mother told me.
Fairs.
Yeet.
We are plowing ahead. Gunther, Jey Uso. Gunther, Jey Uso. Saturday night main event fucked me up. But Gunther versus Pat McAfee. And to be brutally honest, bro, I thought this was quite entertaining. The crowd was into it, you know. The way the crowd was into everything Michael Cole related was mad. When he first got up from the desk and went to like cheer Pat on, like the pop was so loud, bro. I thought Goldberg just got into the building.
Yeah.
Like I thought something, not to discredit Michael Cole, you know, like that, but like I thought something fucking real was about to happen. The way the crowd come up for that, but obviously Gunther was very dominant. I did think it went a little too long, and I'm all for like the hope spots and like the little glimpse of a comeback, like when he flipped off the top rope and then Gunther grabs him for the suplex and he flips out of that as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can take that, bro. You know?
Yeah.
Because do you know what I mean? He's not fully getting the best of Gunther. Do you know what I mean? He's like surviving and like getting a little shot in and shit like that, you know? And I can deal with those sort of hope spots. But what I don't like is Pat actually got won like a strike exchange with Gunther at one point.
That's fair.
You know? Like I said, he won like they were chopping each other in the elbows and stuff, and then like, you know, Pat started throwing some jabs and Gunther started to wilt, and it's just like, bro. You know, and he did get power bombed for his troubles in the end, you know, but he still went toe to toe with Gunther, and for a brief moment, he was getting the better of him in a strike exchange, bro. And that's where like I draw the line, you know. Like that's where I'm like
watching this,
yeah, because I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, you know, like I said, like Pat's flipping out suplexes, getting a little shot in, rare tear, hitting the rope, the crowd's coming up for it, the crowd's with it, with Pat, like I can fuck with that, you know. But it's like when you're going back and forth, throwing shots, and I'm seeing Gunther wilt, get shaky legs and that because, bro, the jabs he was throwing as well, it was mad. But yeah, like I said, overall though, all in all, it was like an entertaining match. The Cole stuff as well was fun, I guess, you know. And I guess Dr. John made the point earlier on in the show, like if this was part of like an 8-match card, you'd frown at it a little less. But when this is a 5-match card and it's like you're giving me a Pat Mac match against somebody like Gunther who you would want to see in those top matches, you know, especially coming out of fucking Jey Uso dropping the belt to him, you know. So I mean, I thought this was pretty inoffensive, but I don't need to see it again, you know?
Yeah.
You can't forgive Pat a little nod of respect at the end as well. And no Goldberg. Heartbreaking. But what do you think, Joe?
Yeah. I feel like we're really letting people down with this. I didn't know where you were gonna go, but like this was pretty good. To be honest. I feel, you know, I saw such colourful opinions. I almost feel bad hitting the folks for that, but like, it absolutely was too long. Like, no question, it was too long. But if you said to me, like, Agent, a 14-minute Gunther Pat McAfee match, I'd be pretty happy with this result, dude. Like, I think there's truth to what you said about them standing toe to toe a little too much, but generally Gunther took like 90%.
No, yeah, he was very dominant.
Yeah. And like when Pat had the kicks, he kicked out like 0. I don't know, man. I think a lot of people just outright just did not want to see this, and that's absolutely fine, and I understand it. I don't really care about Pat McAfee at all, so I don't even really disagree. But I can only assess like what they did once the bell rang. Like I thought for what the match was, I thought it was done well. The Cole stuff obviously is goofy, but that's also like the root of the angle, and it worked great for the house and the people with it. So yeah, I for what it was, bro, I liked this. Yeah, I thought, there's so much conversation about Gunther, and I just don't. It's complete disconnect for me, and that's fine. But like when I see people mad and upset that he's getting you tapped out chance, it's like he's a heel, like I just can't wrap my head around it. I'll be honest with you, dude. Like I don't, and we all watch wrestling differently.
Think pieces.
It feels like people want Gunny to just be like he's a heel, dude. Like he's the only heel they boo. I was in Vegas the night after Mania. He got crazy heat in the building for beating up Pat. They were chanting, "You tapped out." They were heckling it. I think that's good. He's a bad guy, Like, I think the idea with Gunther is that he's an incredible wrestler, but when push comes to shove, he does have a little bit of quit in him because he's a bad guy. And I like that. So, for all of the criticism we've had, and we had a ton of it in the start of this show, so isn't it like we're doing busted open here? Right? Like, I just don't agree with a lot of the Gunther takes. I'm not on board with it.
Yeah, but I think people do wait. I love watching Gunther and like his direct, like the Jey Uso stuff. I thought that was a very well booked story. He was always going to lose that match, and he should have lost that match. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't book that match and tell that story for him to just win. That would have been some bullshit, to be honest, bro. But obviously the Pat McAfee stuff, the angle itself was very explosive and shit, and like it was a great angle, with him choking them out. Obviously, with it leading to a pay-per-view match for him, that's where he kind of was like, okay, yeah. But the match itself ended up being like I had a good time with it. I enjoyed it for what it was in the show.
I think a big part of it, and for the chat, for those in the chat that saying they want to see him wrestle better guys, I understand that completely. And I think if you're a Gunther fan, your frustration is probably actually rooted in the reign before Jey Uso even entered the fray, right? Or at least when he was wrestling, like the winter. Well. Yeah, I think that's totally valid. I agree with that. I think part of the disconnect is people met Gunther when he was Volta and he was a much larger man wrestling much smaller men, and he was basically like independent Big Van Vader.
Yes.
I don't think that's like, to be completely frank, I don't think that's who Gunther is supposed to be in WWE, and I don't think that's who he should be in WWE.
I don't think that's who he wants to be.
I don't either, and I'll go as far as say I think it would be stupid for him to be that, because he does not look that way, brother. He's the same size as most of these dudes, Like,
he's put a little bit weight on again, though. If you notice it,
God love him, yeah. But like, I don't need him to be playing Vader when he's wrestling guys like Randy Orton who are bigger than him. Like,
yeah, I hear that.
I think it's different, and so that's my personal take on it. Now, you can still present him as like you should present him and be clear as one of the best wrestlers in the world, and I think they generally do that. But I think some people want him to be like immovable, and I don't think that would make sense, to be honest, at this point with the way he comes off. So yeah, that's a kind of a weird sidebar thing, but I do think it's worth thinking about. Like, this ain't Volta wrestling Tyler Bate, dude. Like he's not. He doesn't look that way. He doesn't really wrestle that way, to be honest, because it wouldn't make sense. So I think Gunther is in a fine place. I think if you're a Gunther fan, you want to see him wrestle some great pro wrestlers. I hear that, like no arguments with that at all. But if you're a Gunther fan and you're mad they're trying you tapped out, I would just say, like, take a half step back. He's the only heel they're booing on the show. Like,
yeah, don't overcomplicate things with him, man.
Yeah.
He's not meant to be enjoyed that way. It's gunny,
Like, and MAB says he's the best monster heel of the generation. That's always been Raw. I don't buy him as a monster heel at this point. He's like 225 pounds. You know what I'm saying here? It's like, so I don't disagree 100%. With you. He was that. He absolutely was that. I watched a lot of those matches. I was there for a couple of them. He absolutely was that. But I wouldn't book him as a monster now because he doesn't look like a monster. He doesn't wrestle like a monster. He's the ring general. He's technically great. he was the ring general then too. But you know what I'm saying here. It's like when our friend
take a little
Evo,
bit of a different meaning now.
our friend Evo of Wrestle Purist, who's a podcaster, said he once tweeted that Gunther's one of the best big men in wrestling history, and it's like, is he a big man at this point? Like, he's a pretty skinny guy, dude.
Like I said, now, like I said, now he's put a little bit of weight on. So if you looked at him last night, it was a bit like he's definitely obviously nowhere near as big as he was, and I definitely wouldn't. He doesn't have the when you look at him, he doesn't jump out to me as a monster heel either. Obviously, he's still got his height, but I do agree with Joe when he says like, "Yo, he's the ring general now." And even though he's always been the ring general, but it's like it's more so like that's more at the forefront of it, you know.
Yeah.
He's the best. He's the best technical wrestler.
He's still a top
but he's
guy.
also he's still very physical, and he's still got a intimidating presence about him, but it's in a different way. You know, it's not in that monster way that he could have came across before when he was a lot bigger. You know.
Yeah, he's a spiteful wrestler. He's a nasty wrestler, and he's a brilliant wrestler. I think all of that is still in his presentation. I just don't think. He's more of a bully in like a mental way, isn't he now? Rather than like he's going to hurl guys around. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, again, we're like way in the weeds here, but like you look at the guys he wrestled last year. He wrestled Damian Priest. He wrestled Randy Orton. You know, these are big boys, man. I think he's adjusted accordingly. I think when he was wrestling Damian Priest, he didn't wrestle like a monster, did it? He wrestled like a.
I think there's been moments where it would have helped if he
was a good.
I think there's been there's been moments where he has kind of tapped into more of that Volta, you know.
For sure.
I think there's been times where he probably should have tapped into it more, like the WrestleMania match. Like if any of you guys remember, like my review of that, it's like felt like they were just kind of going back and forth, and the idea of the match was like, Jay can hang with Gunther now, you know, and he's going to overcome Gunther now. Whereas I think that match was really missing like Gunther dominance.
Taking more,
you know,
I agree.
Yeah, so like for the crowd to really get behind Jay in that sense, because hardly anybody in the business is better than Gunther at that, you know.
Oh my god, he's amazing in control. Yeah.
So it's like, you know, like I said, if sometimes it would have probably better served to tap more into that like old Gunther stuff. So it's like it's all a balance thing, and I think there is a lot to what you've been saying, Joe, in the sense of like he's different now, and it's like he's still kind of figuring that out as we go along. Do you know what I mean? And I think that match at Mania with Jay is kind of a little bit of evidence of that.
Yeah,
because like he's I think he was still basically he was Walter basically in NXT. Do you know what I mean? Then they changed his name to Gunther. And when they did that in NXT 2.0, that was a little bit different for him because he wasn't the top guy ever in NXT. And obviously it was never meant to be. He was just doing a little stop there, transitioning from NXT UK to the main roster, you know. You know, he was eating losses to like your Braun Breakers and people like that, you know what I mean? He wasn't ever that guy. He was just kind of, I guess, just coming acclimated with moving to the US or whatever he was doing, you know. And then he moves up to the main roster. I believe it was Vince originally, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Vince originally. Do you know what I mean? And obviously he was booked as pretty dominant. And then Triple H takes over. He's booked really dominant, and his booking really starts to pick up from there. He wins the IC title, has that IC title reign, which will probably be fondly remembered forever now. And then he transitions basically straight into the world title thing. Do you know what I mean? So it's like he's never settling. You know,
no, you know,
which is like it's also a good thing because as they love to sell us on commentary and stuff, he spent like 80% of his time in WWE holding a world title and shit. But that also does come with like not really having the space to kind of
just sell.
Yeah. Whereas like post world title match, dropping the world title to Jay, he can kind of get that, you know. And obviously the Pat McAfee feud is a bit of a weird way to start that, but you know. I'm interested to see what they have for Gunther. I really am.
When did the first sign of this conversation was when he worked with Braun. Do you remember that? They did an angle.
Oh yeah, and Braun made him run off
and we all had the instinctive reaction of like, oh, I don't know if he should be doing that. And I now look back on that match And I think that actually is a sign of that match is great, by the way. Their SmackDown match. And I think that match is an example of how great he is in that he had the self-awareness to look at that matchup and go, this is a good time to show a little bit of cowardice, you know? Do you remember how he wrestled that match where he was backing away and being caught like he was wrestling a bear? I think Gunther is in a different place with how he views his character and his style than his fans are. And that's not a bad thing, but I think that is a thing. So that's just.
I also think he's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Gunther's leaving the ring after the Jey Uso match being like, man, they're making him like a bitch out there. I don't think he's thinking that at all. That doesn't mean the fans have to agree with him. I disagree with my favorite wrestlers' taste in their work at all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, you don't have to agree with it. I mean, I was a Nikki Cross fan and she came out dressed as Nikki ASH. That was a pretty tough day for me. So do your thing. You know, but like, I think sometimes people project and it's like, man, Gunther tapped quit because he was embarrassed to be in there. It's like, I don't think that's true. I think Gunther tapped quit because he's a heel. But that's an interesting conversation, I guess, maybe. Probably not.
Speaking of interesting conversations, let's talk a little bit. Let's do it. Randy Orton, John Cena. Main event of WWE Backlash 2025 in St. Louis, Randy Orton's hometown, of course. And, of course, I think we said at the top of the show, I'm not sure if it was before or at the top of the show, but like St. Louis, good crowd, man. It's a good crowd. It weren't, like I said, it weren't exactly the vibes of like France or Puerto Rico, but as far as US pay-per-view crowds go, it was a good crowd, you know. And obviously they love fucking Randy Orton, of course they do. John Cena, of course, he gets his reactions and stuff like that. Everyone's going to be into what John Cena's doing at the moment in terms of crowd engagement. So, you know, and I'll be real, bro. I liked the start of this match, man. Like, I liked it when it was just kind of basically just like a babyface versus a heel, you know? And they did keep it very cliche in that sense, but in a good way, because you can get away with it when you're John Cena and Randy Orton wrestling for the last time in St. Louis, you know. So it really worked, I thought. And as it started to pick up, I was really with it, bro. When it started to get into those like closing stretches where they were doing like the near falls and stuff, John Cena was just hitting AA, you know. I was a little let down in that sense because I thought they would have a bit more ideas. You know, I thought, especially on John's end, you know, have some more ideas when you get deeper into the match. Like, I'm sure I've probably missed one or two, you know, but correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like, bro, these guys have wrestled a million times. There was like hardly any callbacks. Do you know what I mean?
The only one I remember, I'm sure there was more, but the one I remember was when he does the, you know, when Cena does his comeback and Randy just catches him with the RKO. Like, that was a good spot. That was cool. There's probably stuff that we miss because we're not like.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure there is things that I missed because I almost refuse to believe that them two had that match and didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like it didn't, but they might have. Then obviously the ending was like, the ending was a fucking mess to be honest, bro. Again, another John Cena pay-per-view match on this run where the actual finish itself was a fucking mess, and it really kind of like dampens the perception of the whole match. Then that in turn dampens the perception of his whole fucking heel run, you know. But it's like this. Where do you even start, bro? So there was a ref bump, and then no, Randy goes for a punt, but Cena misses it. No, but he misses Cena. Then Cena reverses it, blah, blah, blah. Tables turn. Cena goes to punt Randy. And then he misses. And then, like, he runs into the ref or some shit. So that's, like, ref bump 1. Then... Job, help me out here, man.
I can't. I forgot. I've watched this match twice, too, which makes it even funnier. I don't know what happened after that. The ref fell down a lot. There was a lot of RKOs. There was AAs. There was R-Truth. There was tables. There was an announce table and a table at ringside.
There was a lot of tables, you know.
The crowd liked it.
the table spot on the outside did pop me a lot because like Randy goes to put Cena for a table, and these new WWE tables, bro, these new commentary desks, they just do not break. They're not built for that. They're just not built. They're just not built for that. And so when the table's like half collapsed and Cena's on the floor, Randy, like this is what I'm on about earlier when I said I wanted to like tie it back to just like Randy being Randy, like. I love the way that Randy just kind of nonchalantly, like, almost walks around and just like, so like that thing happens at the table and he's just kind of like, he paces up and down a little bit and he kind of kicks the table a bit with his foot to see if it falls over. Do you know what I mean? And obviously there was a bit later on in the match where he just grabs a Prime bottle and he just sips on that. As like, he just kind of, he has like these funny mannerisms about the way that he just kind of moves around out there sometimes, you know, where it's just kind of he's an interesting guy, you know. But okay, so Cena goes for the punt. There's no ref. He hits an AA, but there's no ref. Cena goes outside to grab the belt, to grab the championship belt, and when he gets back in, boom, Randy Orton hits him with an RKO. The ref then gets up and does the count 1, 2. Cena kicks out though, and then the crowd starts chanting. Yeah, when Randy Orton nearly gets to finish with the RKO, the crowd starts chanting bullshit. Then they go to the outside, and that's when they do the table stuff that I was just talking. See, I'm on track now. That's when they do the table stuff that I was just talking about. And then Randy was looking for a ref, couldn't get one. Then he hits another RKO. Does he? He hits like another RKO.
Probably.
No
yeah.
ref. Nobody come. Then he goes mad and starts RKOing like refs and stuff. No, the ref is down. Then all the people from backstage come out. Jamie Noble, Nick Aldis, they all come out. They all get RKO because Randy's still pissed because the ref couldn't count the 3. So that's all a mess. So that's another ref. Like the refs are all down. Everyone's down. Then Randy goes to set John Cena up for the punt, and that's when R-Truth comes out. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I know this has been terrible audio, bro, but like this is how much of a fucking mess this finish was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's like, like I'm trying to piece this together, and like I'm saying it. I know it's bad audio, but it's like,
no,
you just rock with it. You just rock with it because it's just this perfectly captures what this fucking mess of a finish was.
The audio,
you know,
is one thing. The video is pivotal to the enjoyment. Is the concentration on your face as you try to think about what happened in this match is spectacular. You are putting so much effort into trying to remember which happened, and I have no clue. And I've watched the thing twice. I've forgotten already. So do your thing, bro. Keep going.
no, that was basically it. You know what I mean? R-Truth comes out. He stops the punt. You know, causes a distraction, and then Cena hits Randy with a low blow. I think it was, and then he does the belt shot thing again.
Yeah,
and that was the finish.
Yeah.
So again, that was the mess that this finish was. You know what I mean? It's like just as much as this conversation just was. Like, you know, like we were having a nice conversation. Like, yeah, I seen her and Randy. They did this spot and they did this little thing, and the crowd was into it. And then I'm trying to explain the finish, and I'm just like, I can't do it. Like, my brain starts frying. Like, it's. But Joe, man, what? Anything we can add that we didn't already say about the match itself, or Cena doing Cena?
I wanted to like this, and like I'm glad people did like it. Legitimately, I'm glad for the people that this feud means a lot to. I'm like genuinely glad they enjoyed this, and St. Louis definitely enjoyed it, and that, you know, I always think it's worth noting that. I rewatched this to see how I felt because I kind of had a gut feeling on it, and like I didn't like this match very much. there was a tone to this match that I found like. I'm all for the lads having fun, but I don't know, man. This felt like I don't know. I think this could have had a little bit more severity to it. A little bit, you know. It felt like a bit of a stroll in the park at
it
times. Yeah,
felt
and I
like a house show with a weird bullshit finish.
yeah, I don't know. I couldn't. I rewatched it and I just yeah. I didn't like this match. There it had elements I liked, and there definitely is a charm to watching the guys have that much fun. Like definitely, no doubt about that, and the crowd loved it. Um, Cena's work here was like I don't know, man. His bump and feed on Randy's comeback was kind of crazy. Randy Orton has maybe the best comeback in all of wrestling. By the time Cena got to the power slam,
Everyone knows it. I think I could feed Randy's comeback.
Yeah. By the time Cena got to the power slam, like he was ready to go home. You know, he kind of tumbled over. I didn't think it was very good. It's a shame. I actually was ironically, I think a lot of people had low expectations and liked it. I actually had decent expectations and didn't like it, which I think was probably my fault. That's on me. But yeah,
That's what we do it for, though. You know what I mean?
it felt like a sort of. It felt like they were taking the piss a bit, to be honest. I mean, there's no way to put it. I know that's not the most artistic critique, but
Randy did the 10 punches in the corner and did 20.
yeah, they did like the headlock bit. He drunk the prime and like. And don't get me wrong, there's like a charm to that, seeing the boys have fun, but like
doing the cliches.
He's like a heel and it's for the world title and I don't know. Not sure.
I said, I kind of like the opening stages when it was just a very cliche, just like babyface heel. And like I said, they were doing like the punches in the corner and shit like that, you know. But
yeah.
It felt like when they were getting into those later stages, they just didn't have any ideas, man.
I'll say this, it weren't boring. I'll say that. It definitely weren't boring. If it's 27 minutes long, that's a feat in itself. Credit.
Definitely.
And if this is a feud that means a lot to you, I can see why it was fun. I just didn't really get anything out of this, sadly. I had a lot of heat though, didn't it? Fuck people.
Yeah, of course.
Even when they were doing all the bullshit you described, the people were rocking and rolling. So it worked for the house. It did not work for old Holbert over here. But yeah. I'm sure they'll be devastated.
I don't think it worked for many people. I'd say working for me would be like a stretch, you know.
But it seems like people that love the feud seem to have got out of it. So that's cool.
Oh yeah, no, I'm seeing people be like, "Oh, it proves everyone wrong."
Like, you know, God bless.
Bit, you know?
I mean, our example would be Monty. Like, look how much Joe and Punk means to us from Wembley, and look at the way some people like meant nothing to them. You know, shit that happens sometimes.
I don't know.
I'm not comparing those matches because that would make me mad. But I'm just using it as an example that sometimes investment, feel, all that stuff matters. You know. But, bless their hearts.
But yeah, coming out of the pape, we've got. Well, there was a local Boston news reporting. They did like a segment on John Cena and his dad or something like that, and they basically revealed the date of his last match, supposedly anyway. So his last match is apparently set for December in Boston, which is rumored to be around the time that they're going to be doing a Saturday night's main event. So maybe that is John Cena's last match on a Saturday night main event in Boston. It would kind of make sense. But don't you think they could book, like... I'd book a fucking stadium for Cena's last match, mate.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm doing.
To be fair, he might want it to be in the... is it the Boston, the TD Garden? Because he might want it.
Probably, I'm not sure. Obviously, it's not been announced, has it? But
yeah, if it was TD on, that may be a choice of his. If that is on Saturday night's main event, Dave is going to put up incredible numbers when that rating drops. Like, all-time stature talk, bro. Like, his retirement, it's going to be called The Last Time Is Now, whatever. And the next observer will just be like 10,000 words on what this means for John Cena's box office attraction standings. So ready. No, I mean, that would be cool. I wonder who's going to work. He'll be a babyface by then, right?
Like, fucking better be.
Yeah. Well, anything's possible at this point, bro. I don't know.
Fucking
Who
turning
would be
back
the
on
match?
Monday, mate.
Who would be your match if you could pick? Would you do an all-star tag or would you do a singles?
I'd definitely do a singles.
Trying to think of a heel. You gonna have him killed or are you gonna have him win on his way out? These are the questions we ask.
I think I'd have him killed, you know.
Wow.
Now, it depends on how they frame it all, like. Because the thing is, WWE haven't really done this before, have they? So it's like, we don't know how we're going to frame that last one. Like, so if they frame that last one the way that like a Japanese promotion does, like John Cena's final bye-bye, then no, I wouldn't have him fucking killed on the way out, you know?
Yeah.
But,
I'd do an all-star tag, bro.
yeah, I'd go that route, you know?
Have him killed before that. Like, have him put Jacob or Braun over before that.
Yeah, probably Braun.
Why?
Because Roman's going to put over Jacob, innit?
I agree, but out of respect for John's joints, I would go with Jacob. I think Jacob would look after John.
Yeah, who gives a fuck, man? It's his last match.
I do. I love the business on me, you know? No, yeah, one of those two guys. Or Oba.
You know what else is about? No, bro, I love Oba, but nah, it's too soon. Unless Oba gets called up like tomorrow, do you know what I mean? And you get rolling with him the way that I'd book him, you know.
It's gonna be fucking.
What about Punk, bro? Someone said Punk in the chat. They're gonna do that match before, but like, what if that's like the only good match that Cena has?
See, that's why I would do the tag, because I'd have him in the tag.
Yeah, man, you could. Cena and Punk, or Cena and someone versus Punk and someone.
You can get Orton in there too. Who else would be like a Cena contemporary, like Ray or someone?
Coda.
Yeah.
You probably obviously with it. I know Cody's kind of like a boring answer, but it's like, yeah, you know, it's like. He's the guy in it, do you know what I mean? He's the new Cena, like he's the new, and also obviously, you know, like they used to travel together and blah blah blah. They've already touched on that in kayfabe, and obviously the WrestleMania stuff that's just happened.
It's gonna be spectacular when.
Yeah, none of these other names are really moving me. But the thing is as well, like none of these names are really moving me that much for like his final match. If we do a single,
it's a tough thing, isn't it? Yeah, it's tough. I'm just locked in for Triple H. Is like, give me a heel, you handpick. We just want a bad guy, John, and John's like, give me Mike the Miz, and they just go there and have an absolute fucking catastrophe.
Oh yeah,
what a night that would be. What a night that would be.
A lot of people are saying Mello, but it's just...
Man, I really like Mello, but I just, you know, I don't, you know, I just...
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards the all-star tag now. Because, like, who do you even kill him with if he's not Braun? And it's like, you got Braun and Jacob. It's like that. I don't even know if that moves me that much.
It's not the right time for it, bro. You should have him do it.
Yeah, it's not. Like, if he was going out, like, still on top of his game.
Yeah. Do, like, an actual nice, like, have him have a cool retirement deal, bro.
Do John Cena's final bye-bye, bro.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
That's what I'm saying. Let's do it. That's what's a cut angle.
Because you can have him put guys over before the match, but this is his last match. Just do that as a last match, you know?
What is the most John Cena last match? Like, what would just be John Cena, like, all over it? Like, when you think of a John Cena match, what do you think of? Obviously, you think of Big Match John, innit? But, like...
Yeah. I don't know. The Great Khali.
Roman?
I think I'll say
Roman's
this.
not that bad of an idea, to be honest, bro. But it's
Gunther's
kind
not a
of.
bad idea. Gunther's not a bad idea.
I said Ilya. Come on, bro. I love Ilya.
Come on, Dan.
Come on.
Come on, Dan. Get it together. Gunther's a good idea, actually, because he could be a middle ground between the things we're describing, right? Oh, man, the chat's aggressive tonight.
No, but again, so if you're just gonna have him lose on the way out, like he's not beating Gunther in his last match, bro. Like, come on, he shouldn't anyway,
brother. No, I agree. I mean, I'm at like do Cena and
Jey Uso, Big Jim.
Bro, that match would be psychotic, wouldn't it? My God.
So John Cena's a lot of people's biggest rival, but like, who's his one? Do you know what I mean? So some people will tell you it's Punk. Some people will tell you it's Punk. Some people will tell you it's Randy though. Some people will tell you it's Edge. Yeah. Some people will tell you it's fucking. I don't know. Who else is Alberto Del Rio or some shit? Do you know what I mean?
My genuine pitch, because by this point Cody's going to have won the belt back. I would do Cena and Cody versus Punk and Randy. And Punk and Randy are baby faces, but it's just they're his two great rivals. You know what I'm saying? And it would be final bye-bye style.
Someone said AJ.
AJ would be good, but I just don't know I don't really understand the AJ thing, to be honest with you. AJ is absolutely.
They had that one match. They had that.
Dude, they had Rumble and SummerSlam. Money in the Bank was good too. AJ's just in a weird spot, man. Like, he came back and it felt like poured water all over his run. It was fucking weird.
Who's the funniest person that they could?
The Miz.
Nah, like I was gonna say who they could like bring in or bring back, like or someone who's retired or something like that.
Great question.
Because Cena's done a lot.
Jericho. Cena's in the ring.
Wade Barrett.
Alex Riley.
Who else did he not put over? Who are like the big ones?
Damien Sandow.
Sandow, yeah.
Del Rio. Can you imagine how nasty it would be if that was how they did the AAA deal? Del Rio, Cena, 28, or whatever it is at that point. That would be so nasty, man.
Ugh.
This is going to be a very funny part of this chapter, right? Like,
what's a Dykstra? Dykstra's still with the company.
What rules is there's literally not a Cena match you could book the people aren't going to be like disappointed by for his last match because that's just the way it is, right? Like, it's just impossible.
They should do the thing they did on Raw that everyone loves to post a graphic off where it's like Cena and Randy versus the whole Raw roster.
Yeah.
They do the the fucking Inoki thing where like everyone comes down and gets a slap. Like everyone comes down and gets an AA. Bro, the Raw should just do so. Ivu said it in the chat earlier. He's like, I'm howling at you guys trying to book something like nice and respectful and polite for Cena's fucking.
I think like for a guy's we're gonna have a full year to do all these matches. For his retirement, let's just do something like really graceful, you know.
It's Triple H though, isn't it?
His retirement will actually be Triple H going out and shaking his hand. Cena will be in the ring saying goodbye.
He's gonna be there.
Of course he is, bro. Of course he is. He'll be front and center, man.
Bro, Super Chatter's name I'll never say. He's like fighting hard for Obafemi right now. Someone said JBL. Could you imagine? JBL.
I would lose my shit, dude.
Oh man, that's funny.
I haven't got over the Ilya thing, to be honest yet.
When said Triple H is gonna come out and shake.
Yes, dude. Did you see him at the press last night when the greatest of all time wants to speak? You let him do his thing. It's like, hey man, he's a heel. Like he just cheated to win. Did you not see the main event? Paul, he cheated. Like he's a heel. It's like you're not So he's a bad guy. So you should
I
actually
hate
not
when
like
they
him.
do, I hate when they do that, man.
With Roman, that shit was
Yeah,
terrible, man.
absurd. Like we've never seen dominance like this. It's like, bro, he ain't won a match clean in fucking 2 years.
Yeah,
What are we talking about?
they'll sit there and be like, why do they not boo him? Because they're not heels, you know? Like, you just keep telling people he's not a heel. It's fucking drives me nuts. Like, why even do screwy finishes if you're not going to talk about them being screwy? Like, that's the whole point. Stupid.
What other little things did I want to talk about? Obviously there was the Cena R-Truth thing, the parody angle they did at the press conference. We've already touched on that. But yeah, just quick notes on the show in general. I think we spoke about this before, Joe, but I think WWE does such a good job with the video packages that you rather just don't need to watch the TV anymore.
Tell me about it.
It's like, it's because especially at the moment, because the TV, again, I'm not saying the TV is bad. I watch the TV, and in the moment, I enjoy them for the most part. You know, SmackDown can be brutal because of the way it drags, but you know, in the moment, they're not really that offensive. But the TV isn't exactly dynamic enough to be like must see at the moment. You know, I think they've really lost that element ever since like the first Raw after John Cena's heel turn. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man. Like I said, it's like the TV is just a lot less must see, and it's like I do think sometimes I think it was a Lyra Becky one.
Yeah.
I was watching it. I was like, bro, you just. I feel
they
like
have
I've
so much
wasted. I
time
feel like
now.
I feel like I've wasted my time watching the fucking feud because I could have just watched it.
The funniest one was when I got back from Vegas. My dad wanted to watch Punk's Mania match, and he doesn't see any of the build. And they play that long video for Punk, Seth, and Roman, and he was like, "This looks incredible." Like that video convinced him the build was like one of the best builds in wrestling history. I was like, yeah, actually, like kind of sucked a lot of it, but
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like
watch
Rock
that
and
video,
Austin, isn't it?
yeah, that's a great example. Yeah, because they have to fill the Peacock ads now. The video packages have even more time; they're even longer. So like, works of art, dude. Those guys are really fucking talented to put those things together. Like seriously, really
They
talented.
pace them so well as well. Like,
Yeah, they're. Do you remember when we were
man.
when we were at Bloodline Civil War? The video they played before that, there was like a major motion picture production just on the screen at the O2 Arena. Like
The timeline and everything.
Yeah, good shit.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. But yeah, WWE Backlash, another one in the books. Like I said, I think they should keep doing these abroad. To be honest, loses a little bit of magic doing a pay per view this close to Mania, especially when you've got other ones as well that are going to be following it pretty soon as well. Like I think Money in the Bank's in like 2 or 3 weeks, isn't it? So I think it's 3 weeks. Money in the Bank is so. Start of June. I want to say it's June 7. So yeah, 3 weeks away. But yeah, I think there should be definitely doing these backlashes in France, in Puerto Rico, Mexico, fucking places like that, you know. Germany, Europe, whatever. London, wherever the fuck you want to do it, bro. But try and keep them out the States if you want to do something that close to Mania. A couple super chats. Go Birds XTL. Who do you think wins Money in the Bank? On the women's side, I almost think it has to be Naomi, bro.
Agree. Yeah.
On the men's side,
Damn, I have no idea. I think Naomi's a good pick. I don't know about the men's side.
On the men's side, what's the chat saying?
Yeah, chat help.
Said nothing yet.
Damn, fuck.
Who should win it on the men's side? Because the thing is with the Money in the Bank, yeah, is like I don't want. So someone just said Braun. I don't want Braun Breaker winning the Money in the Bank briefcase and having to like cash in. Like no, bro. I want him to just fucking run through the champion when that time comes. You know what I'm saying? Naomi works because of the heel that she's playing right now. That works. Money in the Bank probably is better suited for a heel. You know what I mean? I don't think I'm breaking. I don't think I'm saying anything genius saying that. Do you know what I mean?
It is, but I actually like the LA Knight pick because it'd be nice to throw him a bone, dude. They haven't done a very good job with LA Knight. I would like that would be a nice thing to throw him. I know he's not a young gun, but like he's still really popular.
So with LA Knight, so if you give him the briefcase, he's gonna have to cash it in.
Yeah, you could find a place for it, right? We'll figure it out.
Ibu saying, I'd genuinely give it to Melo. I would lean further that way than LA Knight, to be brutally honest, but I don't particularly want to go quite there because I don't believe that WWE believe in Melo the way that they either should or how I'd want them to,
Well, I
whatever you
just
want to.
yeah,
It's
because
just
like
like I don't see it, bro. He's fucking tagging with the Miz. Like he's linked up with the Miz right now, bro. Like, and I know WWE don't see the Miz as like some fucking nobody, and he's gonna get his TV time and he's gonna grow as a performer, and like and all these bollocks, yeah. But it's like, and I do think it is. It's a little unfair the way that people just be like, oh well, Braun Breaker and Tiffany Stratton. Do you know what I mean? It's like they're different, like it's a different thing. Everyone's case by case, but I haven't really seen much from WWE to think that they see Melo on a level that if they gave him a Money in the Bank briefcase, it would be kind of like the moment that it clicks for them. Do you know what I mean? And they really
yeah.
get going with Melo. Like I just don't see that really happening.
I mean, I think they like him a lot, but being the Money in the Bank is basically like you're expected to win the world title at some point in the next year, and I don't think he's going to be doing that. So,
or if you fail, it has to be like, even though that isn't been the case in recent years, because people will just like they just do shitty cash-ins or wasted briefcases and stuff recently. But I feel like if somebody does fail to cash in, like that should be like a really significant thing in their story, you know.
I just
Whereas like it feels a little bit throwaway these days. So
they got to let it go. The briefcase thing, bro. Give it a little couple of years off. Let it go. It's been a great run. They've been doing Money in the Bank for 20 years now. I mean, we're like forcing. We're trying to figure out who can win it. It's kind of, I don't know. I think it's kind of stupid at this point, but people like it, I guess, right? So it's an attraction of some sort.
it is a little bit of a. Someone said in the chat, I think Hunter hates Money in the Bank. It's like, bro, I think most bookers would fucking hate it.
It's like something you have to book around.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if that was a thing that was already ingrained to your promotion that you're taking over creatively, and it's like, oh, I have to figure this out every year. It's like, it's a bit of a fucking. It's a little bit of an annoyance, isn't it? Like, it can fuck up storylines and stuff. Because it's like, you don't want people to just hold it and then. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't do the Damian Priest thing with everybody. You know, like, you can't hold it all year because you ain't really got anything for him. And then just be like, you know what, we're going to put the belt on him, fuck it. Like, you can't do that with everybody, bro. Like, it worked for Priest. Yeah. But
Matt in our chat said that it could be a route for Cody back to Cena. And like he said, he doesn't love it. He just thinks that's saying he's seen. And if they do that, that would be a clear example of it just being like, let's just do it this way so we get out of the way, rather than having to do a traditional elevation. Yeah, I don't know.
Money in the Bank.
People like the briefcases, bro. Do you know you can buy a sign?
As well. It's like, you can't even. I don't even think it would be like, unless obviously if we're talking our personal preference, we could be like, oh, I'd like them to get rid of it, But in terms of like, if you're trying to be like, I'll get what one we've been looking for, like realistic or, conscious of how like the wider fan base feels, or at least that, You can't really say like, oh, just fucking scrap the Money in the Bank, because it's like, bro, like Joe said, people like the briefcase, bro. Like it's like a big thing. Like that class Money in the Bank now is one of the big quote unquote five. It's not the big four anymore. It's the big five with Money in the Bank. And the way that they promote it as well, going into the event, it's like, oh, this is where careers are changed forever. Do you know what I mean? They do all that shit with it. So, on the men's side, I have no idea, bro. But I think on the women's side, like Naomi is like opportunities like Naomi is like when it's great to have a Money in the Bank briefcase. You know that? Like it is. It's just an awkward one when you're faced with having to pick two people every year.
Yes. So. For $200, you can now buy an Alexa Bliss autographed Women's Money in the Bank briefcase, Monty. So I don't know if that's of interest to you, but I can send you the link if you want it. All right, bro?
When's your birthday, bro?
Under 4 months, dude. We're in the fucking window now.
Put a Put away 50 every month, you know. Let you accuse in 94 $5. Rob will unironically tell you that match is one of the greatest matches ever. I haven't actually spoken to him about it, but that sounds pretty on point for Rob, to be honest.
Yeah, Rob's doing his thing.
He is. Match on 84 199. Thoughts on Hangar Osprey segment on Dynamite? It was good.
Yeah, I liked it.
It didn't blow me away, but it was good. Yeah.
Some of the content was not really to my taste, but like it was a good segment. I like both guys' delivery and Osprey's energy. I always love in those segments. Some of the way they talk about wrestling is not really for me, but
yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a good little segment.
Yeah.
The crowd's into these two people. So
I'll say this: the match is going to be fucking incredible. I'd imagine. All right, so.
Oh yeah, I'd be very let down if it wasn't, to be honest.
Yeah, should be great.
Super Show's name I'll never say. $2. I assume this is about Money in the Bank. Just no Chelsea Green or Karrion Kross for Money in the Bank, please. Karrion Kross starting to get reactions is one of the things that is quietly just like making me pop. At the moment, it's making me laugh, bro, because like he came out on Main Event a couple of weeks ago and the crowd like fully popped for him. And he's just like, fair play, man. You know, like fucking fair play, bro. Got himself over.
You're right. Yeah, credit to him. Definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have no one, like, I think Naomi should win it because we want Naomi to be the champ. But like Chelsea absolutely could do fun TV with a briefcase. I'm sorry to say. I mean,
I couldn't do it, man.
She's not going to cash in successfully either.
She's done so much shtick. And obviously that's what fucking Chelsea Green does. You know what I mean? I'm not saying she needs to fucking put, black trunks on and fucking, do you know what I mean? Fuck that, obviously. But I think because of how much shtick she just did with the whole US title reign was shtick, you know. For her to then go straight immediately into Money in the Bank when the option of Naomi is like right there staring you in the face would be a bit like fuck.
Naomi's a better choice. I just wouldn't hate it. She's also really popular.
I wouldn't even buy Chelsea winning the belt as well. Like with Chelsea, because it's Chelsea as well. Like, it would be so funny if Chelsea failed to cash in. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, alright, bro. It's like Chelsea Green as world champion. What the fuck does that look like? You know. So I almost think it's like it has to be Naomi to the point where I would think genuinely, it has to be Naomi winning that women's briefcase. Otherwise, I do think they're making like a little bit of a mistake there, and that's not me trying to look at you. It's like this is what I want. If I don't get what I want, they're wrong. I just think when you look at the positioning of where people are in the roster and where they are in the current runs at the moment, Naomi getting that could really like.
TNK brings up Roxanne Perez.
Roxanne's a decent, not a terrible choice. But I think the opportunity is too big with Naomi. It's in 3 weeks, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's in 3 weeks. And Naomi, obviously, she lost at Mania. And a lot of people, because of her performances, were, fuck it, she should win. But obviously, I even said this going into it, so I don't really think they could have done that. It would have fucked Jade quite bad.
Yeah.
And now that we know she's going face to face with Charlotte Flair and she's doing all them things there, so it's like, they couldn't really have done that at the time. But Naomi, this heel run, bro, it needs to mean more than just like fucking, do you know what I mean? And just you get a little Mania match with Jade. Then obviously I guess I might be like emotionally biased because of her comments the other week when she was talking about, do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like talking about like, she don't really know how much longer she can stick around because obviously she does want kids in the future, and if she wants to have kids, she's gonna have to step away for a bit because she's got her own. She had her own kind of health issues. She's only got one ovary now, so it's like she's really taking in this run that she's on at the minute because she don't know if it's gonna be her last one, how long it's gonna last, blah 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 blah. And she wants to obviously move on to that next phase of her life. And if she comes back into wrestling, it's not a foregone conclusion that like Becky Lynch, you can go away, have a baby, and come back. Do you know what I mean? Like some women, it just don't line up for them in life like that. So, how many years has it been since Naomi won a world title as well? You know,
I'm with you. I'd like Naomi to win. The only thing I would say is, and also to your point, I think there's definitely some some credit to be given in terms of like what she did in that latest Mania gimmick. I think like it's a good reward for that. I would say, for the sake of balance, I think it would be a good idea to maybe tell her to rein it in a touch with the character work as of late. I don't know if she's great at pulling off crazy, which is what she seems to be shooting for now. Like bitter.
Yeah, some of the couple of backstage things with Nia were a little, you know.
They were alarming. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I like Naomi and I want to. When she was bitter and like delusional, good shit. Her being like a psychopath with an evil laugh, I'm not so sure. I think that's not a good way to go.
Kale says the laugh.
It's very like cartoon character.
That's what I hate with WWE, bro. It's when you get the glimpses or something, and then it slips into like and it's like it's 2025, man. We don't need. It's not fucking 1982.
Dude, she can just like wear the caution stuff. She doesn't have to actually like say proceed with caution in all of her promos. You know, like I get it. That's the other thing. Not everyone has to have like a thing. Some people can just talk. I promise it'll be okay.
WWE, bro. You gotta have a catchphrase or.
She's a heel.
No, that's what I'm saying, bro. WWE, man. It's fucking.
Nia came up to her. She was like, "Proceed with caution," and I was like, "Fuck!" Like this is. And it annoyed me because I really liked the shit she's been doing, you know. So I was like, "Oh, don't do that." But either way, this is all relevant. I agree with you. I'm rooting for Naomi. I think Naomi's fucking awesome, and I'd like to see her win the title.
Mazan 84 199. It is wild that Sabu weeks. It is wild that Sabu. I'm assuming this is saying it is wild that Sabu passed weeks after his retirement. Yeah, he had that retirement match at GCW on Mania weekend, and yeah, man. So what we were saying at the top of the show, but it kind of all plays into it being, even though it's like Sabu and he's been a very interesting guy over the course of his life, he still caught us by surprise, bro. Because it's, don't know. Obviously, he was just wrestling. Like, do you know what I mean? I seen he was tweeting the other day or whenever it was. Do you know what I mean? Like he was.
Yeah, incredible poster, by the way. Wild poster.
All timer, timer, straight up all timer, bro. I can't think of many wrestlers that are better. Like, because he ain't trying. Do you know what I mean? He's just a dude. Like, well, he wasn't trying. He was just a dude that like.
He had the poster.
He would come across like poster terms and get confused and shit. Like he was godly, man. I love Sabu, but shout out Sabu again. Willow Nightingales, AEW switching up, pretty aggressive sharp turn there, but AEW was. Willow Nightingale's contract is apparently in the contract year. Apparently the contract's up this year with AEW, but AEW is expecting to retain her. They're going to be keeping her. They're hoping, they believe they're going to keep her services. I'd be pretty surprised to see her move on, because I'd be surprised to not see AEW go kind of like all out to keep her, you know?
Yeah.
And I think if AEW do that, I think they can keep her. I don't think she's one of those people that's going to like be like trying to nudge her way out and have to be convinced to stay. I think she'll be pretty happy to stay in AEW. And I think Tony will make it worth a while, because I think he would be absolutely like, bro. That's not even.
As someone that never ever is the guy that's like, if they lose this wrestler, it would be, in this particular case, if they lose this wrestler, it would be like,
bro.
I don't think it's gonna happen. So I like, but yeah, it'd be very, very, very bad.
Very bad. So you can losing Cody is one thing, because it's like where he was at in AEW. In hindsight, obviously, it looks a lot worse than what it did, because he went on to be the biggest star in the business and blah 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 blah. But like in the context of the time, losing Cody at the time wasn't a catastrophe. It wasn't good, because you're losing the face of the he was the face of the revolution. I will forever stand on that. He was the face of the revolution that ended up becoming AEW. You know, it was him. He was the guy doing all the press conferences. He was the guy doing all the talking and stuff. He was the forefront of it. He was the face of it all when it was all unfolding in front of our eyes. So obviously losing him, losing one of your EVPs, losing somebody that was so ingrained into approach, obviously that's bad. But in terms of just kind of like perception, do you know what I mean? In terms of just like how, no, not even perception really, because obviously it didn't look great from like if you was like an outsider of AEW and you seen Cody leave, like obviously that hurt the perception a lot. But in terms of the perception within the fan base, do you know what I mean? Of like how the AEW fans actually feel about it. The Cody loss was one thing. Losing Mariah May would be another thing, which I think is more realistically happening. But I don't think that's a foregone conclusion yet either. Losing Willow would be like
different level,
bro. Like
because also
she's adored, man.
You know, she's like the worst of both worlds in the sense that she would go on to be like a major deal up there, and
100%.
It isn't a Cody thing of that being a contrast. Like people want her to be that in AEW, you know. Like I think there's an argument she should be the fucking face of the company. I mean, she's like
strong.
She's so likable. She's just Willow's incredible, as we all know. So I think they'll retain her. You know, as the report kind of indicates, they expect to. It'll be interesting what happens, obviously, but she's a huge piece that can't be overstated.
Yeah, Willow in WWE would like explode because she's so likable. She's so infectious.
She's so likable.
Yeah, and that was people just gravitate towards her immediately. Yeah. And her momentum would just like she would be a monster over there, you know, like, and she should be that monster here. You know what I mean?
Hopefully so.
All the ingredients are there. All the ingredients are there. The talent's there. Everything's there. So, yeah, that's Willow, man. Last thing I want to talk about with you, Joe. I know we're going very long now, but it's Sunday, so fuck it. But
yeah,
Alexa Bliss is back.
Bro, you said that like you're about to like send that really crazy, man. It's like severe, you know. She is big idea cooked up here. She appeared to wear Chris Jericho's lips and was like 5 inches taller than Zelina Vega.
Oh man, bro. Jokes aside, that pop, she gets a huge pop. We're renaming it now. We got a new one, people. It's the Lexi Pop.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, and we're going with it until the Lexi Pop wears off. Which I don't think it's going to be anytime soon because she only shows up on TV once every couple of months now. So,
look, you and I, we've been on this for the longest. People think we're doing a bit. Sometimes we are. What a fucking star.
Bro.
Alexa Bliss made a comeback on Friday night that was like, she did a shoulder tackle comeback, bro. Like she was Hulk.
I fucking yelled when she did that because you knew it was going to happen, ain't it? Because the way they built to the hot tag.
Yeah.
So they're building to it, they're chanting, Lexi chant, like,
we want Bliss.
Obviously, bro, this is what I'm saying. We want Bliss, we want Bliss, we want Bliss. And I don't think our friends in the US saw that because it was in the ad break.
Yeah.
We want Bliss, we want Bliss. All this shit was going on there. And then she finally tags in and she does that like slow get into the ring. And then she just bursts into a shoulder tackle. I was like, oh my God.
She also did like an old man pro wrestler dragon screw, which popped me. Her offense is I don't know how to describe it really, because she sort of like leisurely gets into it, doesn't she? You know, she's just honestly, man. People don't. I think people. She's not for them, and that's fine. But I don't think people like realize how popular she is, dude. Like, people fucking love her, and the way she's been used is bonkers shit. Like, the way they didn't capitalize on that Rumble return was psychotic. She didn't get any promo or anything. Like, she just... And when I speak on this, I'm aware that it comes off like we're just doing our propaganda, but like it's actually true. Like, what are they doing? Even this was a crazy way to bring her back, but the Charlotte Flair thing does have... I think has a lot of potential. I have an extensive pitch that I will elaborate on WrestlePress Worldwide as a hook in the radio business. I don't think any of it's going to happen. I think she's just going to be someone for Charlotte to pin on the route to wrestling Jade Cargill. But I think I think
Nah.
there's an angle here, and there's a story to tell that would be like very beneficial for both parties.
I think do the duo, man.
I agree.
Do the duo. Do the draft. Get Becky involved with it. Fuck it, man. The big three. Just fucking kicking the shit out of all the young wrestlers. That's what we need.
I'm just, I'll get into it more, but if you look at their careers, there's like there's a ton of parallels early, and then they go in Charlotte and Alexa days, they go in completely different directions, right? And now they're in completely opposite spots where Alexa is like kind of the belle of the ball, and everyone wants Alexa on the TV, and they're reacting huge to her. And by contrast, Charlotte is someone who is like, her character now is the people don't respect her. It's her gimmick now because it's so overt. And I think you could tell, I mean this, I think you could tell a great story with that. I think you could actually explore like the wrestler's brain with that storyline if you put effort into it. Charlotte Flair has won every title, but she's not satisfied because she wants the people's adoration. She wants the people's adulation. She wants that response that Alexa Bliss gets, Alexa Bliss hasn't won a world title in 7 years, but when she walks through the curtain, the people react accordingly. They treat her like a star. If you put your thought to it, you really think about it, you could do something very, very impressive for this, I think. I'm burying the lead. He was right. I'll do more tomorrow, but just hear me out on this. Look, man, it's 2:40 a.m. I forgot that I was doing it tomorrow. I started doing it. It's true. We haven't got anything else planned, we haven't got any.
You got hella high spots, bro.
No, we got nothing, dude.
Listen, you have, man.
You told me Anna wasn't there, and I was like,
Ibby's doing a whole fucking encyclopedia on Sabu, so
that's true.
We got that.
But what I'm saying, does it make sense, Monty? What I'm saying?
No, 100%, bro. You ain't got to convince me, bro.
I'm into it though, bro.
I compared to your average wrestling fan, I like both of those women a lot more than most.
Yeah.
So like all those things that you say about like their journeys and stuff, like that speaks to me. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like I feel very similar in regards to like how they're perceived and where they're at in their career and how interesting that can be, seeing them kind of navigate coming together at this point in their careers. You know what I mean? I would really like to see them do kind of like a duo thing, and I hope it, like when you said that like she's just gonna beat her on the way to Jay Cargill, I was like, bro, they can't do that. Not with Alexa.
I think they will do that, but yeah,
not with Alexa. Not with Alexa, bro.
Well, it's also one of those things where it will have like the opposite effect as it always does, because it will just like people will be like, why did Charlotte win? Because that's what they've done with Charlotte for 10 years now, because they have no awareness of the perception, but they kind of do now actually, so maybe they'll change it. But I think the fact that 7 years ago, Alexa and Charlotte were like the top stars of the opposite brands, like, there or thereabouts. And then they went as far apart as they could possibly go, and now they come back together. And also the fact that Alexa has said 1,000,001 times that like Charlotte was the one person at the PC that was like cool to her, and she wouldn't have stayed in the business probably without Charlotte Flair. It's like she owes Charlotte some. Bro, this is not, I'm not writing The Sopranos here. This is right in front of you. All you have to do is confront the perception of these people, and you can tell an incredible story.
Charlotte killed Lily.
That's true. That is true.
That's law right there, Joe.
You got two grapplers that like they've been on weird fucking journeys, man. Charlotte Flair's like a 14-time champion.
She's not like a 14-time champion. She is a 14.
She is, yeah. And it's like, did you ever see that Alexa interview where she talked about, like, she lost the strap to Ronda? I think she did it. It was something, I can't remember who it was with. And she was like, I really don't want to be the champion again. I've done it.
She has a lot of quotes like that, doesn't she?
She does, and we have fun about it, but like it actually is it's an interesting contrast to Charlotte as characters, because Alexa Bliss, the character, has hardly even been linked with the title since then. She's been like Spooky. She's had Lily. She's had Friends.
She has had friends, yes.
Fuck, bro. I could put up numbers with this shit. I'd win a fucking Emmy if I was booking this thing. I got more too. I'm just scratching the surface.
So when you have an idea, you are good in that sense. The idea of you booking a whole show, though, you know.
Oh, I couldn't do that. But
This is a hilarious comparison, which will definitely. You need like the Michael Hayes role. That's what you need.
it's just such a good time to do it too. Like with what Big E just said, like exploring.
Why is he being mad?
Because I'm doing the highest fuck. I got into it and started feeling.
What is that? So is the what? So were you and Ibu plotting in DMs like, yo, we're gonna talk about Alexa Bliss?
Yeah.
See, this is what I should have. Ibu should have clarified it with me. You know what I mean? I did a whole creative meeting with him earlier.
Life's too short, man.
He thinks I'm not going to talk about Alexa Bliss. Do you know what I mean?
Look,
and that starts you off then. You know what I mean? So.
Imagine I wake up tomorrow, go around the show and get hit by a bus and no one ever hears this, bro. I got to get off my chest, you know? I got to get shit out of there. This is, you know.
So you've been saying it was the Monday closing stretch. If you think this is all he's got, you know what I'm saying? He's saying all he's got, bro.
Alexa Bliss is a wrestler that's entirely satisfied with her career. She's done some crazy stuff, you know? Charlotte Flair has done everything right. She's won all the belts. She's had all the great matches. She's ticked every box. But she's not satisfied.
Alright, bro. It's like, I agree, but it's like your delivery. Oh. It makes you think, you know? Breakfast. It is actually really good, yeah. It is Anna's assault on 100%. He's cooking, bro. It's just that, like, his delivery then was like, he was just, like, philosophical, you know what I mean? Philosophical, as you said.
Oh, man. Because it's not right or wrong. You know what I'm saying? You're not breaking kayfabe. You're saying, like, why... she's done everything you want of a great wrestler. But yet, she's still chasing it. Damn, bro.
Deep. I wish I put you full screen for all that. But...
Imagine you build to it and, like, Charlotte's hesitant. And then they win the tag straps as baby faces. And Charlotte's like, this actually does feel good, you know? We did it the right way. We did it with heart, Monty. We did it with soul. We did it with spirit.
Yeah, the crowd slowly, finally, you know?
Yeah, man.
Finally.
It ain't about...
warm, you know?
It's not about proving yourself to the people. It's about proving yourself to the person in the mirror, Monty, you know? That's what it's about, man. Fucking love this business.
Okay, on that note, I can't follow that. You know? I can't follow that shit, bro. Alright, so we're gonna wrap it up because we've been going for nearly 3 hours and this is you know what I mean? WrestlePurist Live. It's what we do, people. We we don't normally do recaps that often because we normally do like Wednesdays or some shit. But yo, I've had a good time. We recapped Backlash, paid a little respect to Sabu, sending condolences. May he rest in peace again forever. Now obviously we talked a little bit about Willow. We talked about had to talk about Alexa. I'm sorry, bro, but again. It's why we do these production meetings, fam. You know. Speaking of meetings, bro, Joe, I've been trying to do a contract renegotiation with Ibu, yeah, which he came to me for. You know, he came to me. I've been trying to set up this meeting, StreamYard, phone call, whatever with him for like 3 weeks, bro. 3 weeks. You know? So,
he's talking to
bro,
New York again, brother.
that's what I'm saying, bro. He's talking. He's testing his free agency too much for me. You know. He's like he gets cancelled. We welcome him back with open arms, show him all the love in the world, and he does me like this, bro. You know. So I've got nothing but love for my brother. You know. But
Ryan Alvarez needs a new co-host, bro.
that's what I'm saying. He's doing all this sneaky shit, bro. And it's like I know he's doing it, and he thinks I don't know he's doing it. You see how he did that industry plant award that he won a week ago? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know what he's doing, bro. He's trying to bump up those negotiations and shit. He's not working on me because I see through it. But either way, bro, I know you're in the chat. Look at him. Oh, my God. This piece of shit, man. Now, for real, though, hit me up. Holler at me, bro. Fucking hell. Going into the third, fourth week of this shit, fam. Fucking hell. All right, people. Really appreciate you tuning in, especially those of you who have stuck with us for these whole 3 hours. You know, we've been up and down with the viewership with this one, but we've kept it strong throughout. So, of course, again, appreciate that as always. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I forgot to pin it in the chat. I forgot to do the poll that I normally do, which helps boost a lot. So, if you're still in here, please like the video. We still got like well over like 170 people in here. So, smash those like buttons before we get out of here, because it really does help the channel. It helps me, it helps Joe, it helps EB, it helps all the other guys that you like with Wrestle Purists. So just keep supporting us, you know what I mean? Even if you're not sending super chats and stuff, that is one way that you can support us. Obviously, we'll be back tomorrow. Ibu and Joe, the big two. Unfortunately, we don't have Anna next week. She'll be back soon, we're hoping. And yeah, man, we got the big two tomorrow. Ibu, Joe. Joe, you want to plug anything before we get out of here?
I don't think I have anything to plug, unfortunately, because we don't have our plans are in jeopardy currently. I have to have a creative meeting with the boys after this, but legitimately big things coming. But it's gonna be like a month away, so I'm gonna just shut the fuck up. Worldwide tomorrow, we're gonna do a 90-minute creative session. I'm gonna pen and paper. If I had time, I would get a whiteboard.
Bro, you have the space. When I was messaging Ibu and doing this quote creative meeting with him, it's like, yo, we can recap Backlash tonight, and then you can just basically do whatever you want tomorrow. You know, obviously he's going to talk about Sabu, you know, but it's just like you can do basically whatever you want, you know. He's doing. Speaking of which, he's doing like some of Sabu's most iconic, best matches. Ibu's favorite matches of Sabu. He's doing like a watch along in the self-made Discord in about 25 minutes, which probably means in about 45 minutes to an hour. So you got time to sign up, people. Sign up, get up in there, support the guys, support our guys. It's almost like supporting our distant family or whatever you want to call it.
Supporting
the
troops,
supporting the in-laws. But yo, again, appreciate you guys. Please like and subscribe on your way out. Appreciate all the super chats, and we will see you tomorrow for Wrestle Purists Worldwide. Peace.